Chapter 31. The 5-year period has arrived, and Shrek reunites. Feeling the pressure in 2 places on his back, Aosing let out a comfortable moan. In fact, for this evil dragon, even if Jianrongxiu stood on his back, jumped around, or stomped his feet hard, he would not feel much. However, the reason he made the sounds of enjoyment was because he liked the feeling of dominating others. What's more, it was Jianrongxiu who was stepping on his back barefoot. When the other party took off his shoes just now, Aosing quickly opened his eyes and took a look. About 37 yards. This is a normal size for Jianrongxiu's height. And the toes are white and translucent, just like tender lotus buds, and the front ends are like round light pink pearls. Each one is slender yet perfect. The bottom surface is a light orange color, like the color of the corners when clouds cover the setting sun. All this makes me feel comfortable just thinking about it. Not to mention, his current mental power can detect every move of the other party. Even a toe, slightly curled. And at this moment Jianrongxiu, who was stepping on the evil dragon, blushed with embarrassment. Since she started lurking in the Tiandu Empire, no one had ever seen her skin except for her arms, neck, and face. Just now, the dragon ordered her to take off her shoes in front of it. This is something that has never happened before. Fortunately, the dragon had its eyes closed. Jianrongxiu was somewhat thankful. If the evil dragon had opened his eyes and turned his head to watch her do this, she would definitely be extremely ashamed and angry. Hey, when will it end? Jianrongxiu complained in her heart. Look at the dragon enjoying himself so much, is he going to keep doing it until dawn? Tiandu City, Shrek Academy. Dai Mubai, with blonde hair and evil eyes, and Zhu Zuqing, dressed in white and with a proud figure, deliberately concealed their identities and asked to see the dean and vice dean when they arrived at the entrance of the academy to meet the students on duty. In response, the students on duty naturally rejected them. After all, Shrek Academy is no longer what it used to be. After winning the Continental Elite Soul Master competition 5 years ago, Shrek's reputation became completely established. Although it still only recruits civilians, not just anyone can get in. Dai Mubai had anticipated this situation. So, he gave his name in a pretentious manner. Are you Dai Mubai? Humph, I'm still Tang Sangxiu. However, before the student on duty could finish his words, Ma Hongjun suddenly jumped out from the side and rushed directly towards Dai Mubai, wanting to put his arms around him and Zhu Zuqing beside him. Seeing this scene, the student on duty naturally knew that the man with blonde hair and evil eyes in front of him was really his senior. In an instant, the entire Shrek Academy was in an uproar. At the same time, Ning Rongrong also appeared at the entrance of the college. The 5-year period that the Shrek 7 Devils agreed to meet has arrived. Ning Rongrong even bought some gifts on the way here. Of course, what surprised the rest of Shrek was that she was followed by a white-haired old man with an ethereal temperament and a sword-like figure. The Shrek 7 Devils were no strangers to this person. Sword Douluo, Chen Xin. I say, Rongrong, why are you making such a big fuss? You came back for a gathering, and you actually have Grandpa Jian, the titled Douluo, by your side. Ma Hongjun couldn't help but yell. And Dai Mubai was also Ning Rongrong, whose face was slightly twitching. He is looking forward to the 5-year agreement. It's not just because the Shrek 7 can meet again, but also because he can show off in front of his schoolmate. However, Ma Hongjun's shout let all the new students of Shrek Academy know that the old man next to Ning Rongrong was a powerful titled Douluo. In this way, wouldn't the attention of those schoolmates who were originally supposed to be on him be attracted to Jian Douluo? Ma Hongjun. Dai Mubai grabbed Ma Hongjun's neck with one hand. Were you trying to take advantage of me just now? Why did you reach out to hug my Zuqing? Who is your Zuqing? The woman in white clothes and black hair deliberately distanced herself from Dai Mubai. When Ning Rongrong saw this scene, she looked a little sad, but soon she asked, Zhu Qing, didn't your family send some powerful spirit masters to follow you? Tiandu City has been in turmoil recently. Ah! Facing Ning Rongrong's question, Zhu Zuqing showed a puzzled expression. Don't you know that a few days ago, an evil dragon suddenly appeared in Tiandu City? It first kidnapped Princess Shueke, then kidnapped the prince, and the day before yesterday, it even kidnapped Master Yu Xian. Now in Tiandu City, any woman with a slightly noble status and good looks is in danger. They either fled Tiandu City and hid in the remote countryside, or they hide in the secret room at home and don't go to the streets of Tiandu City easily. Evil dragon? Zhu Zuqing's expression was somewhat shocked. In fact, she and Dai Mubai went to Tiandu city from Xingluo Empire half a month ago. However, the two of them did not come at full speed. Instead, we enjoy delicious food while having fun on the road. This made her very confused. Because the Xingluo Empire must have spies in the Tiandu Empire. According to his understanding, it will take at most 3 days. What happens in Tiandu city will spread to the Xingluo Empire. As for the evil dragon, you have heard a little about it since childhood. This is a girl who is greedy for money and lustful, and especially likes to snatch human princesses. When she was a child, her mother often used stories about evil dragons, using the lie of self-protection to urge her to practice and improve her strength. Damn it! Dai Mubai, who was standing by, suddenly had a hint of viciousness in his eyes. They must have suppressed the news, otherwise the Xingluo Empire would definitely send someone to inform us. It may not be them who did it. Zhu Zuqing shook her head, maybe it was the ministers who followed them. There is no need to discuss this now. Suddenly, a familiar voice was heard, and a familiar yet unfamiliar blue-haired man suddenly appeared. Next to him was a tall woman with a ponytail. Tang San. Just as everyone at Shrek was surprised at such a big change in Tang San's appearance, Jian Douluo widened his eyes. He was surprised to find that this genius was emitting a strange aura. Seems to be some kind of field. Hello, Grandpa Jian. Tang San greeted politely, and then immediately said to the Shrek people, I was there when the evil dragon attacked Yuexuan and kidnapped Princess Swick of the Tiandu Empire. Zuqing, wrong, you two have noble status, so you must pay attention to your safety recently and avoid walking on the streets. Also, the master told me yesterday that after we come back, we should go to the academy to find him. He has something important to announce. I feel that this is most likely related to the evil dragon. He seems to have found a way to tame the dragon. Chapter 32. Pua God Yu Xiao Gang, I once went to a place with Bibi Dong. When I was young, I saw a book about evil dragons in the ancient book reading room of the Spirit Hall. The evil dragon has the most exaggerated growth potential among all the known creatures in Douluo continent. When it is young, it has the strength close to that of a titled Douluo. When it grows up, it can even rival hundreds of titled Douluo. Yu Xiaogang put his hands behind his back, tilted his head slightly up 22.5 degrees, and his eyes revealed a sad look. The Shrek people who were standing nearby were listening silently. In their eyes, the master is Douluo know-it-all, knowing everything and being a walking Douluo guide. Therefore, even though he was talking about information that had been widely circulated in Tiandu city in recent days, the Shrek 7 devils listened carefully and did not show any impatience. Probably about 20 minutes passed. Yu Xiaogang coughed. The Shrek 7 devils, who had originally had their eyelids drooping, suddenly perked up and looked up at him. After years of getting along, they knew that the master was about to start talking about the key points. A grown dragon is invincible. But a young dragon can be tamed. It has a fatal weakness. Yu Xiaogang seemed to be tired, so he turned around, picked up the water cup on the table and took a sip. When the son saw his father's actions, he understood immediately. Tang San immediately asked, where is the weakness? Dragon horns. As long as you can hold the horns of a young dragon with both hands, you can tame the dragon like a wild horse. Because the dragon's horns are the source of its evil power. The dragon horns of the young dragon are still very tender. As long as we grab its 2 dragon horns and continuously infuse soul power into them to suppress the evil power within, the power of the evil dragon will be greatly weakened. I can't use attacks like dragon flame and dragon breath. I can only rely on my own physical strength to resist. Yu Xiaogang talked freely about the evil dragon's weaknesses. A small part of it was what he learned from the ancient books of the Spirit Hall, and the other half was supplemented by the experience he gained from studying soul beasts and martial souls for half a lifetime. But the Shrek 7 devils also listened with great interest. Seeing this, Yu Xiaogang closed his eyes, thought for a few seconds, and then began to say, therefore, to tame the evil dragon, not only does it require strong physical strength, but also strong soul power. According to my calculations, you need to have at least the strength of a titled Douluo to be able to tame the evil dragon before your soul power is exhausted. The cultivation of titled Douluo's strength, regardless of whether Yu Xiaogang believed what he said or not, the Shrek 7 devils directly took it as their guiding principle and believed that it was the truth. So, Master, you tell us this because you want to. That's right. Yu Xiaogang suddenly puffed out his chest and said, I want you to tame the dragon. As far as I know, the Spirit Hall, the Heaven Do Empire, the Luo Empire, and even some powerful sects are secretly looking for the trace of the evil dragon. If you can tame the dragon, it will become your most powerful assistant in the future. There will never be any difficulties or obstacles on the path of cultivation. 5 years ago, you won the All-Continental Elite Soul Master competition, and your names have been heard throughout the continent. Everyone knows that the Shrek 7 Devils have a bright future. Xiao Wu, did you encounter any danger on the way back to Shrek Academy? Yu Xiaogang looked at Xiao Wu, who was standing next to Tang San. 5 years ago, after Bibi Dong revealed their identities, the Shrek 7 Devils all knew Xiao Wu's true identity to a certain extent. No. Xiao Wu's heart skipped a beat. Hearing this, Yu Xiaogang smiled, and then muttered to himself in a voice that everyone could just hear, "It seems that Bibi Dong still gives me face." Cough cough. Xiao Wu, your current identity is too sensitive. Even if you 7 monsters are invincible at the same age, you still have me, Flanders, the Golden Triangle of Erlong, and all the teachers of Shrek Academy to protect you. But, let others know that you are all returning to Shrek Academy. He would definitely be targeted. If Jian Douluo and Ning Rongrong hadn't come with us today, we might have been in trouble. So, you still have to improve your strength as soon as possible. Ah! Our strength is improving fast enough. Ning Rongrong has been urged by Ning Fengzi at home in recent years. She finally had the excuse of the 5-year agreement to go out and play, but she didn't expect that the master would ask them to practice and improve their strength. Her face suddenly turned dark. You don't even have the cultivation of a soul saint. Can you be considered a strong person in Douluo continent? Don't think that you are invincible with your extraordinary talents and rich combat experience, but what if you face a soul Douluo or title Douluo warrior? Yu Xiaogang pretended to be serious and said, the situation in Douluo continent is becoming more and more confusing. The Spirit Hall seems to be planning something. You must step up your efforts to improve your strength. Could it be? You want us to improve our strength to the level of titled Douluo as soon as possible, and then tame the evil dragon? Tang San suddenly spoke. Yu Xiaogang first talked about how to tame the evil dragon, and then asked the Shrek 7 Devils to quickly improve their spirit power, which made him quickly associate the two together. Yes. As long as you can tame the dragon and make it your right-hand man, your future will be smooth. But didn't you say that one must be at least a titled Douluo to tame a dragon? Faced with everyone's doubts, Li Xiaogang quickly refuted them by saying that Shrek only recruits monsters and not ordinary people. Do you think that if I say that a dragon can only be tamed at the level of a titled Douluo, then you can't tame a dragon at the soul Douluo level? The 7 monsters were speechless for a moment at the master's pua. Yu Xiaogang knew why they were silent. Because as your soul power grows, it will become increasingly difficult to upgrade your level. The time and effort required to leap from Soul Emperor to Soul Sage, or even Soul Douluo, may be more difficult than advancing from level 1 to level 69. Yu Xiaogang chuckled twice and said directly. Do you think I'm just talking nonsense and giving you an impossible task? Humph, then you really look down on me as a master. When I was young, I went to a place with Bibi Dong. The Spirit Hall called it Devil Island, but I know that the name of the place is actually Sea God Island. The Sea God Island is located in the far west of Douluo continent. There are several titled Douluo masters there, and there may even be a level 99 Peerless Douluo. If you can pass the training on Sea God Island, your strength will definitely increase rapidly. The evil dragon comes and goes without a trace. It will probably take a long time for other forces to find it. Besides, no one except me knows how to tame a dragon. You can go to Poseidon Island to train while the Spirit Hall is focusing on the evil dragon. For humans, 3, 5, or even more than 10 years is a long time. However, for soul beasts or evil dragons, this time is very short and is not enough for them to leap from infancy to adulthood. At that time, as long as your cultivation reaches the level of Soul Douluo, close to the strength of titled Douluo, you can try to tame the evil dragon. Chapter 33, Attack on the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect, Encounter between 3 parties. As night falls, the dragon reappears. Half empty. Ao Sing was holding a rope in his hand. Below the rope, there were dozens of pirates, tied up like a string of candied haws, hanging one by one below. They didn't make any mistakes. On the contrary, it was Ao Sing who needed their help. Although he became an evil dragon, he could not pluck out a hair like Sun Wukong and transform into another Sun Wukong. Nor can he use the shadow clone technique like Naruto to create multiple selves and manipulate Tsunade or Sakura to block all the passages. Even though Aosing is a dragon that can fly at an extremely fast speed, he is unable to split himself into two. Therefore, he simply found a group of pirates with decent skills, brought them to Douluo continent, and ordered them to help kidnap carpenters, bricklayers, blacksmiths, etc., the craftsmen needed to build the dragon castle and make gold and silver devices. After flying to the land, Aosing put these people down. The more craftsmen you bring back, the more suitable spirit rings I will find for you when you achieve a breakthrough. Aosing knew that as an evil dragon, these pirates would never disobey his orders. But at the same time, he also knew that if he relied on threats, the other party would most likely just do things perfunctorily, just enough to complete the task. Therefore, he decided to lure them with benefits to motivate these pirates. Although all the Soul Masters on Purple Pearl Island are Sea Soul Masters are a minority after all, and most of the people engaged in the craftsman industry are ordinary people. Perhaps the martial soul has a certain relationship with their own industry. However, there is absolutely no such thing as someone like Tang Hao, who is a titled Douluo but hides away to work as a blacksmith and even requires his own poor prodigal son to work to support him. Therefore, Aosing believed that these pirates could complete the tasks he assigned. After a brief explanation, he flew towards the east of the continent. Some people may wonder, why did they just kidnap Tang Yuehua to Purple Pearl Island and then return to the mainland? Aosing said that once the evil dragon has spoken, it is impossible to catch up. He had said before that he wanted to capture Tang Yuehua and make her his own, and he had basically done it. Now, all that's left is to fulfill the harsh words he had said to Ning Fengzi and Gu Douluo. Humph, 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Sect. The second largest sect in the world. Tonight, I, Aosing, will destroy a sect with one dragon. After his whole body turned into crystal diamond, Aosing had great confidence in his own strength. If the system had not deceived him, then now, even if Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo obtained the enhancement of Ning Fengzi's 7 Treasures Glazed Tower, they would not be able to pose a fatal threat to him. And he, relying on the ability to stop time and detonate gems, can fight against an entire clan alone. After all, as the richest sect in the world, the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect must have a huge amount of gold, silver, and jewelry hidden in its treasury. By then, he can fully utilize his ability to detonate gems to directly blow up the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. Aosing recalled what he had done when he traveled through Douluo continent. Although it is very bad, it is still far from real evil. If you don't kill more soul masters and destroy more sects, it will really be a disgrace to my name as the evil dragon. With a sinister smile flashing across his lips, Aosing disappeared into the night. Outside Tiandu city, in a mountain range. A towering castle was built on the mountainside, towering above the mountains. The city walls are towering, and the stone bricks have stood the test of time, but they are still as solid as ever, like a winding dragon encircling the mountains. This is where the 7 Treasures Glazed sect, the second largest sect in the world, is located. At this moment, the city gates were tightly closed, and the armored guards standing at the gates all looked at the surroundings solemnly. Recently, the sect leader has repeatedly emphasized that they should pay attention to the situation near the sect. It is said that it was because they were afraid that the evil dragon would snatch the little princess away. Fortunately, Ning Rongrong went to Tiandu city a few days ago, and the guards who had been on high alert for a while could finally relax a little. However, what they could not have imagined was that at this moment, all the secret sentries outside the 7 Treasures Glaze had been killed. The people who did it were 4 titled Douluo level warriors, and behind them, there are thousands of soul masters from the Spirit Hall. That's right. Even though the evil dragon abducted Jian Rongxiu unexpectedly, Bibi Dong did not interrupt the soul hunting plan. Today, the Spirit Hall is going to take down the 7 Treasures Glazed sect, the strongest sect in the entire Douluo continent except for the Haoshan sect. What a coincidence. Aosing, who was hiding above the dark clouds, discovered the powerful men from the Spirit Hall below, and a hint of amusement flashed across his face. Perhaps, this is the halo of the protagonist, whatever you do, everything will go smoothly. I just wanted to seek revenge on the Kaibao Liulai sect today, but I didn't expect to coincide with the Spirit Hall's soul hunting plan. Little Chrysanthemum and Little Ghost are here too. Aosing's sight was locked on 2 figures, one black and one white, below. The 2 of them are none other than Bibi Dong's right-hand men, Chrysanthemum Douluo Yuegwan and Ghost Douluo Gaimei. Did You recover from your injury. Hey hey! When they were in the Xingda Great Forest, Aosin used the time-stop field to pile up the jewels that the Tiandu Empire used to exchange for Shueke around the two of them, and then detonated them, directly injuring them severely. Now, the two have recovered with the help of the powerful Soul Master resources of the Spirit Hall and various rare treasures, and are leading the team to launch an attack on the 7 treasures glazed glass. It would be very interesting if an evil dragon suddenly appeared when the 7 treasures glazed tile sect and the Spirit Hall were fighting each other, right? Aosin began to think silently in his heart, while below, the people from the Spirit Hall also began to act. With the sudden appearance of Ghost Douluo, the 2 teams of guards at the gate of 7 treasures glazed sect were all killed. Afterwards, various dazzling spirit skills were used, and a huge gap appeared on the wall of the castle in just a few seconds. The spirit masters of the Spirit Hall were divided into 2 groups. A small number of powerful flying warriors, led by Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo, rushed to the battlements and observation towers above the castle and launched an attack. The other 2 titled Douluo led a large group of soul masters and rushed directly into the 7 treasures glazed sect. Suddenly, shouts and cries of killing shook the sky. Ning Fengzi and Bone Douluo in the 7 treasures glazed tile sect were awakened immediately. They immediately ordered the soul masters who depended on the 7 treasures glazed glass to resist. But when he discovered that the opponent's soul masters far outnumbered the 7 treasures glazed sect's soul masters, and that there were 4 titled Douluo masters, Ning Fengzi gritted his teeth. Martial Soul Palace. Today's hatred is irreconcilable. Uncle Gu, let's go. As for the other direct disciples of the 7 treasures glazed tile sect, we retreated through the secret passage. If Bone Douluo and Sword Douluo were both there, Ning Fengzi would definitely try to fight with several titled Douluos of the Spirit Hall in order to delay time and allow more direct disciples to retreat. However, a few days ago, Ning Rongrong went to Shrek Academy, and he was a little worried, so he asked Jian Douluo to go with her. Therefore, at this moment, only Bone Douluo remained in the 7 treasures glazed tile sect, facing 4 titled Douluo. Even with his support, he probably wouldn't be able to hold out for long. Master Ning, it's not a good idea to just leave like this, right? Who? Ning Fengzi had just been carried up by Bone Douluo and was about to leave through the tunnel when he heard a slightly familiar voice. At the same time, Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo, who were attacking him, were also shocked. Their eyes all looked up to the sky. I saw a dragon-shaped creature flapping its wings in the air. Except for the color of its body, its appearance is exactly the same as the evil dragon Aosin. Chapter 34. Art is Explosion. The 7 treasures glazed tile sect was tragically destroyed. Withdraw. Ju Douluo Yuegwen and Ghost Douluo Gaimei issued orders in response to the pressure. A while ago, they were attacked by an evil dragon without realizing it and were severely injured. A bunch of gem fragments were embedded in their bodies. Pope Bibi Dong found the top healing martial arts soul masters, and used her mental power to find and remove the gem fragments in their bodies bit by bit. But even so, the 2 of them still had to lie in bed for nearly half a month before they recovered. Therefore, no one understands the horror of the evil dragon's power better than them. The other 2 titled Douluo of the Spirit Hall were stunned for a moment after hearing the orders from Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo, and did not retreat in time. In their view, the Spirit Hall has 4 titled Douluo, hundreds of soul masters with soul sage strength or above, and thousands of ordinary soul masters. Even if there is one more evil dragon in the battle, what will happen? Could it be possible that a young evil dragon could wipe out so many elite soul masters in the Spirit Hall? Withdraw. The ghostly hoarse voice sounded again, and he suddenly appeared next to a titled Douluo. He mercilessly slapped him in the face with his big hand filled with soul power. Blood suddenly fell like rain. Seeing this scene, the people in the Spirit Hall who had captured those spirits of the 7 treasures glazed tile sect whose spirits were direct descendants of the 7 treasures glazed tile tower and were enjoying abusing them, suddenly woke up. Ghost Douluo is the elder who is in charge of the punishments in the Spirit Hall. As long as the Pope and the priest are not around, his words are the highest orders. A group of Spirit Hall's spirit masters, including the titled Douluo who was badly beaten, immediately turned around and fled. Seeing this scene, Ning Fengzi, who was carried by Bone Douluo, also issued an order. Direct disciples of the 7 treasures glazed tile sect, listen up. Zudge Divine Crossbow, volley fire. The direct disciples who were originally running desperately towards the secret passage immediately took off the black boxes on their bodies, turned around and faced the spirit masters of the Spirit Hall who were fleeing from the 7 treasures glazed sect, and pulled the trigger of the Zudge Divine Crossbow. In an instant, thousands and thousands of short black steel arrows fell from the sky like a rainstorm, densely packed and covering the sky. The vibration of the arrow shaft swinging at high speed and the whistling sound of the arrowhead cutting through the air come one after another, interweaving into the most shocking symphony. Under the moonlight, a rain of arrows flashed with silver black light and fell into the group of soul masters of the spirit hall. The sudden feeling of oppression from behind made the spirit masters of the spirit hall turn around subconsciously, but before they could see clearly, they were pierced through the body by a rain of arrows, and a blood mist exploded and spread. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of soul masters with lower cultivation levels were killed. Douluo's eyes were red with anger when he saw this scene, but when he saw the evil dragon in the sky, he still held back his anger and shouted, "Quickly retreat!" Seeing this situation, a smile flashed across Ning Fengzi's lips. I didn't expect that at the critical moment of life and death for the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect, there would be a troublemaker. Although, it was obvious that the evil dragon had ill intentions. But compared to the aggressive spirit hall, Ning Fengzi felt that he should be able to negotiate terms with the evil dragon. After all, Spirit Hall sent out 4 titled Douluo, who were obviously here to destroy the family. The evil dragon, on the other hand, seems to be here for something. Then he let Bone Douluo put him down, looked at Ao Xing calmly and said, "Evil dragon, senior. I admit that what happened some time ago was not done properly by my Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect. For that, I am deeply sorry. Since Senior Evil Dragon has come to our door today, all the gold, silver, and rare treasures in the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect are at your disposal. If you want something else, my Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect will do our best to satisfy you." Ning Fengzi vowed. Ao Xing, on the other hand, half closed his eyes. He knew Ning Fengzi was hypocritical, but he didn't expect that this guy's hypocrisy could be comparable to Tang San. When he saw him, he actually called him senior. "You? No, I'm here for the people, not the money. Where is Ning Rongrong?" Ao Xing was a little impatient. A hint of helplessness flashed across Ning Fengzi's eyes. Sure enough, the dragon came for her. "Well, my little girl is not in the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. Senior Evil Dragon, how about?" "Haha, I was just kidding." Seeing Ning Fengzi's embarrassed expression, Ao Xing laughed wantonly, and then asked, "Do you really think that I came to the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect for Ning Rongrong?" "Wrong. That's totally wrong. I know that Ning Rongrong is with Shrek's group now. I came here simply for revenge." "Revenge?" Ning Fengzi frowned and quickly explained, "Senior Ilong, that day was really a misunderstanding. Uncle Gu and I. Go explain this to the King of Hell." Ao Xing was very impatient, and then he activated his special talent of the Gem Dragon and began to sense the surroundings. Soon, he got feedback. Hiss. Even though the Seven Treasure Glazed sect is so rich, Ao Xing knew that the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect was as wealthy as a country and was the richest sect in the world. But he could never have guessed that the sect's wealth would be piled up in the mountain behind the sect's ancient castle built on the hillside. According to his perception, these mountains were all hollowed out, and filled with countless gems and gold. The number is so exaggerated that it is unimaginable. There were no gold soul coins, only gold bricks that were melted down and stacked into walls, so big that even adult men could not move them. Gems were just like sand, being placed and discarded at random. If I detonate these gems directly, I'm afraid I'll be doomed too. Ao Xing showed fear on his face, but when he saw a bunch of direct disciples of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect below, they were staring at him covetously and pointing at him with the scrap copper and iron made by Tang San for them, he suddenly became furious. "What kind of people are you, a bunch of ants? How dare you be so rude to me?" Burst. Ao Xinglong's eyes turned cold, and he immediately used the innate skills of the Gem Dragon. Next second all the gemstones piled up in the mountain behind the Seven Treasures Glazed sect's ancient castle began to vibrate at a strange frequency, and their already dazzling surfaces sparkled with colorful light. "What's going on?" Ning Fengzi sensed something wrong and looked at the mountain next to him. Could it be that the evil dragon sensed the treasure house of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect? But before he could think about it, he saw the mountain behind him suddenly shaking, and collapsed in an instant, and a light that was too bright to look directly at shone from the gap. Ao Xing, on the other hand, activated the time stop and flew away. Ning Fengzi stared in amazement at the mountain that collapsed in an instant and the shock wave that was so visible to the naked eye that it seemed to be real. He was completely stunned. Bone Douluo immediately picked him up and rushed towards the secret passage. However, even the speed of a level 95 titled Douluo could not match the speed at which the explosion spread. The 7 treasures glazed sect was swallowed up by the white mushroom cloud in an instant. Chapter 35. The whole continent is shocked. Bibi Dong, the evil dragon, did it. Late at night, a terrifying white light appeared in the northwest corner of Tiandu city. A huge mushroom cloud expanded instantly, like a giant beast swallowing the sky, completely covering a mountain range in the northwest. The guards at the Tiandu city gate looked into the distance in horror. All colors were swallowed up, and the originally pitch-black night was instantly replaced by bright daylight. A few minutes later, a strong wind swept in. Even though they were soul masters, they had to hold on to the buildings beside them to avoid being blown away. And after a while, a deafening explosion reached their ears. But at this time Tiandu city has already felt violent shaking, the intensity of which is even far greater than that of an ordinary earthquake. Many buildings suffered cracks. Many people who were sleeping were shaken violently and fell off their beds. For a moment, the originally sleeping city began to stir, and people shouted in palpitations and panic. No one knows what happened, but many of the soul master nobles who stood up to check the situation all changed their expressions. Ordinary people may not know where the big explosion occurred. But they know. The second best sect in the world, the 7 treasures glazed tile sect. What the hell is going on? Master Yu Xiaogang was horrified. Even if it's a title Douluo level warrior's martial soul fusion technique, it can't cause this kind of noise. Could it be the ultimate Douluo? No, even the ultimate Douluo can't do this. No, I need to send someone to notify Rong immediately. Yu Xiaogang's expression changed drastically. In order to ensure Ning Rong's safety, Ning Fengzi asked Jian Douluo to follow her. A few days ago, after discussion, Sword Douluo would wait until the Shrek 7 devils found the Sea God Island before returning to the 7 treasures glazed sect. Therefore, in the 7 treasures glazed tile sect, there was only one titled Douluo, Bone Douluo, in charge at this time. I'm afraid this will lead to the annihilation of the entire sect. Who could have done this? Wuhan City. Regardless of the fact that it was still late at night, Ju Douluo Yuguan and Ghost Douluo Guimei came directly to the Pope's palace. Bibi Dong sensed the aura of the 2 people and immediately realized that something big was happening. She put away the 2 toys, put on her clothes, and immediately went outside the hall and asked what happened. Why did you 2 come back alone? Is the soul hunting operation going smoothly? Has the 7 treasures glazed tile sect been destroyed? Facing the Pope's question, Ju Douluo said in panic, We encountered a dragon. Ahem. It was when we attacked the 7 treasures glazed sect. Evil dragon. Bibi Dong's eyes suddenly lit up. Compared to the 7 treasures glazed tile sect, she was naturally more interested in the evil dragon. After all, as long as the evil dragon is tamed and waited until it reaches adulthood, not to mention the 7 treasures glazed tile sect, even the Haoshan sect can be easily wiped out. More importantly, not long ago, the content of her Rakshasa 9 tests suddenly changed. According to the instructions, as long as she can tame the evil dragon, then after achieving the dual soul and dual title Douluo, she will automatically obtain the heart of Rakshasa, and her affinity with the Rakshasa god will reach 100%. She will be able to directly accept the Rakshasa inheritance, obtain the Rakshasa sickle, and achieve the position of Rakshasa. Simply put, as long as she tames the dragon, all the difficulties and obstacles she faces in becoming a god will instantly disappear. By then, even if it was Qian Daoliu, she would be able to kill him in the blink of an eye. She will become the master of Douluo continent. It was also for this reason that Bibi Dong was ecstatic when she learned that the evil dragon had reappeared. As a result, she, who was always very observant, did not notice that Ghost Douluo was trembling, and that Chrysanthemum Douluo's face was abnormally pale. Your Holiness, the 7 treasures glazed tile sect has been destroyed. No one who was in the sect tonight survived. No one is left alive. Including sect master Ning Fengzi and Bone Douluo Gurong. Ahem. Ahem. After Ju Douluo finished speaking, he suddenly coughed up a pool of blood. It was only then that Bibi Dong discovered that her 2 right-hand men were both seriously injured. You guys, come quickly. Go and call all the auxiliary soul Douluos in Wuhan City. On the second day, the news that the entire 7 treasures glazed tile sect was razed to the ground and no one in the sect, including the sect leader Ning Fengzi, Bone Douluo and other powerful people, survived, spread like a storm at sea, with Tiandu city as its center, and quickly spread to all parts of Douluo continent. Many sects, upon hearing the news, did not discuss the real culprit behind the scenes, but instead immediately summoned all the disciples in the sect and asked them one by one who had made enemies in recent years. They were afraid that their sect would be like the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect and evaporate from Douluo continent overnight. Of course, a group of forces led by the Blue Tyrannosaurus Rex family directly singled out the Spirit Hall for accusations and strongly criticized the Spirit Hall. Because, in their opinion, apart from the Spirit Hall, there is no other force in the entire continent that can create such a big commotion and turn the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect, including its people, into dust in an instant. In response to this, Bibi Dong, the Pope of the Spirit Hall, immediately clarified. Regarding the tragic annihilation of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect, with no one in the sect surviving, the Spirit Hall expresses deep regret. If there are any Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect disciples traveling outside, the Spirit Hall can provide them with excellent treatment and take them in. To those sects and forces that slandered the Spirit Hall, the Spirit Hall hereby warns that the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect was not wiped out by the Spirit Hall, but by the evil dragon Aosing. That night, after learning of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect's request for help, the Spirit Hall immediately dispatched Zhu Gui and Douluo to lead nearly 1,000 spirit masters to provide support. However, the evil dragon was too powerful, and Zhu Gui and Douluo were seriously injured. The rest of the Spirit Hall's spirit masters were also killed on the spot, just like the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect's disciples. Naturally, the various forces in Douluo continent did not believe Bibi Dong's explanation. But it was not until they saw the dying Zhu Gui Douluo with their own eyes, and went to the ruins of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect under the leadership of Bibi Dong and found the ground covered with sparkling gem fragments, that they were forced to accept the fact that the evil dragon Aosing had destroyed the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect. I've said it before, the evil dragon Aosing is a gem dragon, and has the ability to control gems. The Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect probably piled up all the sect's jewels in one place, and then the evil dragon Aosing used special means to detonate them, which led to this end. Bibi Dong's words left all the forces speechless. There were those who changed their attitude according to the situation, and they flattered directly, regardless of the fact that they were standing on the graves of thousands of people from the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect. The Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect deserves this fate. Even for hundreds of years, the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect has been monopolizing all walks of life, controlling the herbs that are helpful for cultivation, as well as the highly profitable industries such as weapons and armor. As a result, poor soul masters like us can only do dirty work and take on missions for the Seven Treasures Glazed sect in order to obtain herbs. Otherwise, you can just practice inefficiently. Unlike the Spirit Hall, which not only helps civilians awaken their spirits for free, but also treats all spirit masters equally. As long as they have the slightest talent, they will be trained. Chapter 36. 3 Women and 1 Drama. At the border between the Tiandu Empire and the Xingluo Empire, a student from the Agility Attack Department of Shrek Academy, eating expired sausages that Dean Flanders took out from the warehouse, traveled day and night, sleeping in the open air, and finally caught up with the Shrek 7 devils who were heading to Zhengzhen City. Panting, he told everyone how the entire Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect had been wiped out by the evil dragon. Why is this happening? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. You're lying to me. My father, Grandpa Gu, and the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect will definitely be fine. Hearing that her father had no trace left and her huge family business had turned into dust, Ning Rongrong could not accept it. She transformed into a little Tyrannosaurus Rex from Sichuan and Chongqing, and roared heartbreakingly. She stared at the Shrek Academy who came to deliver the letter as if she wanted to eat someone, which was completely inconsistent with her appearance. Senior Ning Rongrong, everything I said is true. Your father, Douluo, and thousands of direct descendants of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect, none of them survived. Shut up. When the Shrek students were explaining to Ning Rongrong, they were rudely interrupted by her. Moreover, a 9-treasure glazed tower that was half a person's height came crashing down towards his face. The next second, the Shrek students started bleeding from their noses. Looking at Ning Rongrong who seemed to be on the verge of going berserk, he felt very aggrieved. He had gone through so much trouble to tell the senior the bad news, which was clearly a thankless task, but now he was beaten for no apparent reason. Shouldn't the glazed pagoda spirit be an auxiliary spirit? Why in the hands of the senior sister, it naturally becomes a strong attack spirit. Go away, go away. Suddenly, Ning Rongrong burst into tears and yelled at the Shrek student. Okay, okay. The Shrek students never thought that they would be treated like this by the senior students. Although it's really hard not to cry when your whole family is dead, there's no need to vent your anger on me. He suppressed his displeasure and prepared to turn around and leave. However, a strange uncle with a scar on his face patted him on the shoulder and stopped him. Then, he was handed a few sausages of strange shapes, some were small and thin, and some were shaped like flies. Hiss, could it be that this is the legendary sausage Uncle Oscar? The heart of this Shrek Academy student, which had been deeply broken, was suddenly warmed. He nodded to Oscar, ate a sausage, and left in the direction he came from. After all, sausages should be eaten fresh. Although the few sticks given by Dean Flanders could help restore his soul power, the effect was limited. Because they were dried out by the wind, they almost broke his teeth. Wrong, don't worry too much. Douluo looked at Ning Rongrong's heartbroken expression and comforted her. When the previous leader of our Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect was in office, he had already built a secret passage leading to Tiandu City. If your father and Lao Gu wanted to escape from there, no one could stop them. So don't be too sad. Really? Grandpa Jian, are you really not lying to me? Ning Rongrong is no longer the unruly princess she used to be. She still has a bad temper towards ordinary people and maintains the habits of an eldest lady, but she is still very rational when talking to people close to her. Wrong, you are not a child anymore, how could I lie to you? Now I am also worried about the safety of Feng Zhi and Lao Gu. Logically speaking, as long as the evil dragon doesn't kill Lao Gu instantly, he will definitely be able to escape from the secret passage with Feng Zhi. Douluo had a serious expression on his face, but Ning Rongrong knew that Grandpa Jian was not like the weird Grandpa Gu who liked to play tricks on people, and he would not lie. Therefore, Ning Rongrong's fluctuating emotions after hearing the news of the annihilation of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect calmed down temporarily, but tears still flowed unconsciously from the corners of her eyes. Grandpa Jian, shall we go back to Tiandu City? That's what I meant, but Xiao San and the others. Douluo looked at Tang San and his group. Wrong, Grandpa Jian, this time we are only going to Zhengzhen City, the capital of metal. After a while, we will still return to Tiandu City and head west to Poseidon Island. Uncle Ning's safety is the most important, you guys go quickly. Tang San looked at Ning Rongrong and said, Wrong, your family is my family. If anything happens to Uncle Ning, even if it was done by the evil dragon, I, Tang San, will definitely avenge you in the future. Okay. Ning Rongrong still had tears in her eyes. Ao Xing returned to Poseidon Island with the craftsman kidnapped by the pirates. Looking at those ordinary people who were shaking with fear and pissing and shitting, Ao Xing instructed the pirate with the highest soul power. Give them good food and drink. I am still waiting for them to help me with work. We must not neglect them. As for you. Ao Xing glanced at the craftsman and said calmly, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave this island in this lifetime. If you don't want to be thrown into the sea to feed the fish, then just work for this evil dragon. After leaving a word, Ao Xing walked to Jian Rongxiu's house. Before he even entered the room, he could sense the presence of 3 women in the room. Jian Rongxiu, Tang Yuehua and Zai Zhensu. What happened? Why are these 3 guys talking and laughing? Ao Xing frowned in disbelief. Jian Rongxiu is the young master of the Spirit Hall, and Tang Yuehua is the sister of the leader of the Haoshan sect. In a sense, the 2 are mortal enemies. As for Purple Pearl, even though she was an outcast from Poseidon Island, both her identity and personality were incompatible with the other 2. Why are these 3 people talking and laughing in there? What happened during the days I was away? Ao Xing was a little confused. He pushed open the door. The creaking sound and the sudden appearance of the evil dragon startled the 3 people in the room. In an instant, the originally heated atmosphere suddenly dropped to freezing point. The 3 women were all silent. What were you talking about just now? Didn't it seem like a pleasant conversation? Why do I act like a mute when I arrive? Ahoy! The evil dragon narrowed his eyes and questioned in a muffled voice. Tang Yuehua and Zai Zhensu were both terrified and curled up, afraid to face the evil dragon. In contrast, Jian Rongxiu said frankly, we were chatting. Oh! Ao Xing nodded and left the room. This surprised the 3 women, and they were all extremely astonished. What the hell is this evil dragon doing? Especially Zai Zhensu, her forehead was covered with cold sweat, as if she had done something wrong. Because, during her communication with Tang Yuehua, she learned that the evil dragon seemed to be able to spy on people's hearts. If this is true, does the evil dragon know exactly what I feel for Qian Rongxiu? Why does it turn a blind eye? Chapter 37. Qian Daoliu and Bibi Dong. Taming value, 29/100. Looking at the system panel, Ao Xing was a little surprised. He had not been on Purple Pearl Island these few days, but Qian Rongxiu's taming value had increased a lot. This came as a surprise to him. Tang Yuehua has always believed that he has the ability to see into people's hearts, but in fact, this is all because as a time traveler, he understands the personality of everyone in Douluo continent and the development of the plot. The ability to peek into people's minds can only be acquired after evolving to the third stage. Therefore, he had no idea why Qian Rongxiu's taming value suddenly increased. Maybe, it's because she and Tang Yuehua communicated something during the time I was away. Ao Xing didn't know whether Tang Yuehua knew Qian Rongxiu's true identity. But he knew that Qian Rongxiu had played Shui Qinghe for so many years, and her relationship with Tang Yuehua was definitely special. He had been away from Purple Pearl Island for 2.5 days, and the two of them must have exchanged a lot of things as women who were both abducted by the evil dragon. It is highly likely that Qian Rongxiu's taming value increased due to the content of these conversations. Forget it, there's no need to think about it. In the face of absolute strength, all conspiracies and tricks are just paper tigers. No matter what they talked about, there is absolutely no way to escape from Purple Pearl Island. As long as the taming value increases, it's a good thing. Once you can successfully transform into a human, you can start the second stage of evolution. By then, unless the gods from the God realm come to Douluo continent in person. Otherwise, no one can pose a threat to me. By then, whether it's Poseidon, the Snow Queen in the far north, or Bibi Dong, I can have in-depth exchanges with them without worrying about any danger. Ao Xing kept thinking in his heart. As a time-stopping dragon, he once had deep doubts about his ability to stop time. Because, with infinite cooling and without making fatal attacks on creatures within the range, the time stop can be maintained, which is really too much of a bug. Therefore, he was always worried that if someone's realm within the time stop range reached a certain level, they would not be affected by the time stop. This was also the reason why she didn't dare to do anything too harsh to Bibi Dong at that time. What if she was like Purple Pearl, torn apart by him, and felt her body injured and out of time stop? Wouldn't that be disastrous? However, after detonating the gems in the 7 treasures glazed tile sex treasury, Ao Xing dispelled all doubts. Because, when the shock wave generated by the explosion of the treasury was about to cover him, he activated the time stop function and then left the 7 treasures glazed tile sect unscathed. You know, although he is a dragon, his speed is definitely not as fast as such a huge explosion wave. Even if he activated the time stop at that time, the shock wave had already surrounded all areas except the time stop. But he was able to remain unscathed. This shows that his time stop is the coolest one, no matter what the opponent's cultivation level is, as long as he is within range, he will be stopped. So, as long as I succeed in transforming into a human, can I go to Poseidon Island to have some fun? A bold idea suddenly came to Ao Xing's mind. If Tang San met someone who was also taking the Sea God 9 trials, and the other person was much stronger than him, what would he be thinking? Hey. As Ao Xing was a little too tired from running back and forth, he did not find an opportunity to open the time stop field to taste the Purple Pearl and Tang Yuehua today. Instead, he fell asleep after a delicious meal. He planned to conserve his energy and give them a good lesson tomorrow, and find out what they had talked about with Qian Rongxiu while he was away. Wuhan City. Bibi Dong looked at Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo, and after understanding their injuries, she came to the outside of the Elder Hall. Why are you looking for me? Bibi Dong sneered, the Pope's palace and the Elder's palace are so close, and you insisted on asking someone else to deliver the message. How hypocritical. Humph. A cold snort came from the Elder's hall. If it weren't for Zioxiu, do you think I would look for you? Tell me, what do you want from me? Bibi Dong was too lazy to talk nonsense to Qian Daoliu. In her opinion, all angels are hypocritical. Whether it was Qian Sunji or Qian Daoliu, she felt extremely disgusted with them. Because, when she was still the Holy Maiden of the Spirit Hall, Qian Daoliu had already reached level 99. Even though she was in the secret room and was abused by Kyung Sunji, Bibi Dong didn't believe it. With Qian Daoliu's strength, he couldn't spy on what was happening. She always believed that the reason why Qian Sunji dared to treat him like this must be because the old man Qian Douluo tacitly approved. The two highest authority bodies of the Spirit Hall, the Elder Hall and the Pope Hall, have not had close contact since 20 years ago. The Elder Hall no longer pays attention to the affairs of the Spirit Hall. On the surface, it is because the chief priest Qian Douluo has a huge grudge against Bibi Dong because of Qian Sunji's death. But in fact, it was because the old guy Qian Douluo felt guilty for not being able to stop Qian Sunji from hurting her, which led to Qian Sunji's tragic death. I have used secret methods to detect that Shue'er is now in the westernmost part of Douluo continent. The dragon doesn't seem to be harming her yet. But that doesn't mean the dragon won't hurt her in the future. You must find a way to find her location as soon as possible so that I can rescue her. After Qian Douluo gave the order, he went straight into the secret room to meditate without waiting for Bibi Dong's consent. Humph! Bibi Dong also snorted coldly. Because she knew that if Qian Douluo did not inherit the angel godhood, his soul power would never be able to improve and break through the level 100 mark. Retreat? It's obvious that they just want to throw it away after using it. Bibi Dong didn't have many complaints about this. Because she is also frantically searching for the hiding place of the evil dragon through all means. This is related to whether she can become a god. Bitch! After feeling Bibi Dong leave the Elder Hall, Qian Douluo could not help but angrily smash the stone wall beside him. If you hadn't led the Spirit Hall to attack Poseidon Island, I could have asked Poseidon to help find Shue'er. The sea in the far west is her home. If Shue'er has an accident, I will never let you off easily. Qian Douluo suppressed his anger and used a voice mixed with soul power to transmit his message to the surrounding stone chambers. Second offering, third offering. Bitch! Back then, both he and Tang Chen were pursuing Poseidon. Although Poseidon chose Tang Chen in the end, Qian Douluo did not become enemies with him. As for the matter of finding Qian Rongxiu, as long as he is willing to swallow his pride, the other party will definitely not refuse. Qian Douluo suppressed his anger and used a voice mixed with soul power to transmit his message to the surrounding stone chambers. You can end your retreat now. There's something big to do soon. Chapter 38. Changing the taming method. The day is long and blue with white clouds. The sun rose again as usual. Even though there was a layer of gauze hanging on the window, the light still penetrated it and shone softly on the lower part of Qian Rongxiu's face, outlining her well-defined features. In the bed, a warm and lazy breath rose and fell gently with her breathing. Qian Rongxiu rested one arm on the pillow and her fingers moved slightly, as if exploring in a dream. Her long hair was slightly disheveled and spread on the pillow, like a piece of golden seaweed. As time passed, the light slowly moved up to her closed eyes. Qian Rongxiu woke up slowly. She opened her eyes and stared at the ceiling, with one leg bent and her foot on the bed, while the other leg remained in a normal sleeping position. It has been more than half a month since I was abducted by the evil dragon. This half-month or so was the most relaxing and comfortable half-month she had lived since she awakened her martial soul. She no longer had to lurk in the Tiandu Palace and play the role of Shui Qinghe, helping the elderly Emperor Shuiye to handle government affairs until late at night every day, and then getting up early to deal with various official matters. She no longer had to rely on practicing to pass the time every day like when she was in the Spirit Hall, with only her grandfather and a few other old men to play with her. However, if the same day goes on for too long, you will get bored. In particular, the scale of Purple Pearl Island is, after all, just the size of an ordinary small town on land. At first, the clean beach, the coconut groves, and the pleasant ocean breeze while strolling on the beach made Qian Rongxiu's life very interesting. But as time went by, she became a little bored with the monotonous scenery and the same life day after day. Fortunately, not long ago, the evil dragon abducted Tang Yuehua, the master of Yuexuan Pavilion. This allows her to have someone to chat with on weekdays, which makes life more interesting. Is it so late? Qian Rongxiu looked at the bright room filled with sunlight and realized that it was getting late. Sure enough, when she gently opened the curtains, the sun was already high in the sky. It looked like it would be time for lunch in an hour at most. Well, Sister Yuehua should have made breakfast, right? Qian Rongxiu touched her belly, feeling a little expectant. Tang Yuehua not only teaches court etiquette, she also makes many royal pastries. After she was abducted to the island, Qian Rongxiu, who had been eating seafood every day recently, finally had the chance to eat such soft, glutinous, sweet and exquisite snacks. Zioxiu, are you hungry? You've been getting lazier lately. It's hard to associate you with Shui Qinghe, the eldest prince of the Tiandu Empire, who is famous for his diligence. Let's have some snacks to fill our stomachs first. The evil dragon went to hunt the sea soul beasts. Sure enough, when we walked to the next house, Tang Yuehua had already prepared the pastries. Qian Rongxue blushed when she heard this. Although Tang Yuehua's soul power level is not high, he can remember everyone's breath extremely clearly. Therefore, when she saw Qian Rongxue on the Purple Pearl Island, she determined that this was the Prince Shui Qinghe who was abducted by the evil dragon. Qian Rongxue did not hide the fact that her identity was discovered and confessed it directly to Tang Yuehua. After all, it was obviously impossible for the other party to escape from Purple Pearl Island, and his strength was completely crushed by her. Furthermore, as the heir of an angel spirit, Qian Rongxue does not like to lie actively. But surprisingly, Tang Yuehua was not angry because Qian Rongxue was the young master of the spirit hall. You and I are both poor people who were forcibly placed in the Tiandu Empire by the forces behind us for some purpose. We used to live a life we didn't like. I don't have to be angry because you are the young master of the spirit hall. The hatred between Haoshan sect and Wuhan Hall has nothing to do with you and me. Thinking back to Tang Yuehua's answer at that time, Qian Rongxue was very impressed. She could tell from the way the other person was abducted by the dragon to the island that she had suffered a lot along the way. But despite this, Tang Yuehua did not collapse. Instead, she remained calm and composed about her current situation. Therefore, since the two had crossed paths in Tiandu City, they naturally became close after the evil dragon left Purple Pearl Island a few days ago. Sister Yuehua, the evil dragon didn't bully you, right? Qian Rongxue asked. Silly child, even if it bullies me, what can you do to help? Tang Yuehua seemed to be indifferent to everything. Our fate can no longer be changed. What can we do? We can just live our lives the way we can. When being abducted to the island by the evil dragon, Tang Yuehua endured the humiliation and helped the evil dragon to bite her in order to prevent Tang San from getting into trouble. However, the evil dragon later told her that Tang San's villainous character caused her grandfather Tang Chen's poisoning to worsen and his life was in danger. Tang Yuehua completely collapsed at that time. After arriving on the island, she was completely desperate. If she hadn't met Qian Rongxue, she would have even thought about ending her life when the dragon wasn't paying attention. Sister Yuehua, there will be a way. My grandfather will definitely find a way to find me. The evil dragon is definitely no match for him now. Qian Rongxue couldn't help but say. Although, after the evil dragon told her the secret of the 9 trials of angels, she gave up on continuing her practice and began to live her life seriously. However, in her heart, she always wanted to escape from Purple Pearl Island. Of course, Qian Rongxue knew that with her own strength, it was impossible for her to escape under the eyes of the evil dragon. So, she had no choice but to wait for the spirit hall and her grandfather to save her. Hey! Are you expecting Qian Daoliu to come and rescue you? Suddenly, the voice of the evil dragon was heard faintly, and he threw a slender fish soul beast onto the beach, and then walked slowly towards the house. Qian Rongxue's face changed, she lowered her head and remained silent. And Tang Yuehua still maintains her calm demeanor. Zioxu, do you really think I won't do anything to you? Ao Xing looked at the woman in front of him evilly. He suddenly realized that his previous taming methods were a bit too gentle. This led to the other party always having the idea of escaping from Purple Pearl Island in his mind. If one wants to reach a taming value of 100/100, Qian Rongxue obviously cannot be allowed to have this idea. Ao Xing suddenly understood. Taming? Taming. I am the master and she is the pet. How can you expect a disobedient pet to be convinced by just appropriate care and punishment? I must use severe measures to make her afraid to resist and afraid of me like a tiger. Ao Xing's eyes gradually turned cold, and then he looked at Qian Rongxue and said, I'll try to be gentle with you later. What do you want to do to Zioxu? The calm Tang Yuehua finally showed a trace of panic on her face. She just said it casually just now. You and I both know that the spirit hall can't find this place. Humph, who knows? Ao Xing narrowed his eyes and then activated the time stop. Chapter 39. When demons see this guy, they have to call him a bad guy. Time and space froze instantly. An anxious expression was obvious on Tang Yuehua's face. Qian Rongxue was a little panicked, but there was an inexplicable confidence between her brows that she didn't believe Ao Xing would do anything excessive to her. This made Ao Xing frown. Thinking back, he felt that he had spoiled Jian Rongxiu too much. I'm a dragon, not the hero of a romance drama. Going on a fast and asking her to give me a massage, this kind of punishment is really too low level. We have to think of some fun way to punish her both physically and mentally. Ao Xing stared at Jian Rongxiu, thinking continuously. After a long time, he finally thought of an interesting way to play. He walked to the next storeroom. There were many daily necessities in it that he had the pirates disguise themselves and go to Hanhai City to buy. After some selection, he picked up a bar of soap. Subsequently, Ao Xing returned to the house, took off Jian Rongxiu's shoes, grabbed her and flew into the air. Time stop is lifted. What do you want to do? Jian Rongxiu never expected that in the blink of an eye, she would be taken to a height of thousands of meters by the evil dragon. This is a height that even ordinary titled Douluo cannot reach. Looking at the vast blue sea below and the purple pearl island which was only the size of a fingernail, Jian Rongxiu was suddenly terrified. Her grandfather, Jian Daoliu, was known as the invincible in the sky. One of the main reasons is that angel spirits can fly. Compared to other martial spirits that can fly in the air, such as birds, angel martial spirits have both the first soul skill angel assault and a strong attack close combat soul skill, as well as a special fifth soul skill that can condense the holy sword, not to mention other soul skills that can launch mental attacks and amplify themselves. The angel martial soul is equivalent to a super martial soul that combines the strong attack system, agile attack system, control system, and auxiliary system. However, because Jian Rongxiu was too young when she infiltrated the Tiandu Palace, although she relied on taking time out to practice every night, her soul power had already reached level 68. However, she had never used the angel spirit to actually fly high in the sky. Not to mention, being taken to a height of several thousand meters by the evil dragon in an instant. At the first moment, her legs went weak and she couldn't help but close her eyes. But fortunately, the angel spirit gradually dissipated her uneasiness about being at high altitudes. What do you want to do? Jian Rongxiu pursed her lips, her eyes a little weak, and questioned Ao Xing weakly. What? What do I do? Of course, do something that evil dragons love to do. Ao Xing's claws began to wander around freely. Jian Rongxiu froze as if she had been electrocuted. She couldn't understand why he suddenly did such a violation today after not touching his dragon for such a long time. A sense of humiliation arose spontaneously. Just when she thought the dragon's next move was to take off his clothes and give her an air shock, the dragon unexpectedly took out a bar of soap. What do you want to do? Jian Rongxiu had just finished speaking when Ao Xing activated the time stop again. He let go of Jian Rongxiu, and she just remained suspended in the air, showing no signs of falling. Then, Ao Xing took the soap soaked in water, flew to Jian Rongxiu, and rubbed it on the soles of her feet. It's really pretty. Ao Xing looked at him silently. The smooth and pink soles of the feet, after being soaked in bubble water, make the toes particularly crystal clear and very tempting. However, due to the special shape of the dragon claw, he was destined to be unable to play with it normally. Ao Xing could only shake his head regretfully. Then, he tied Jian Rongxiu's hands behind her back, flew in front of her again, and released the time stop. What are you doing? Jian Rongxiu suddenly realized that her arms were tied behind her back. Something was binding her tightly, and she couldn't move at all. She was suddenly panicked. How did the dragon tie itself up? It's so fast, even if Grandpa finds this place, will he be a match for the evil dragon? Jian Rongxiu's mind became foggy and her mood was extremely complicated. But at this moment, the evil dragon opened his mouth and smiled evilly. Zioxiu, you don't want to fall either, do you? As the evil dragon spoke, Jian Rongxiu looked down again. After adapting, she was no longer as afraid of heights as she was at the beginning. But the thousands of meters high still made her breathing quicken and her toes clenched tightly. What happened? Jian Rongxiu suddenly realized that something had been smeared on her feet, making them unusually smooth. Is it soapy water? Thinking of how the evil dragon suddenly took out a piece of soap just now, Jian Rongxiu had an answer in her mind. At the same time, the bubbles produced by the constant friction made her more convinced. What do you want to do? It's just a small punishment for your disobedience. Ao Xing said, don't worry, I won't let you get hurt. Are you ready? What to prepare? Ao Xing suddenly supported Jian Rongxiu's waist, lifted her up slightly higher than himself, and then bent his arms so that she was less than a palm's distance from him. Qian Rongxiu looked down at Ao Xing's pair of dazzling dragon horns, feeling very puzzled. She had no idea what punishment Ao Along was going to give her. Is she using her feet to massage his back again? Thinking of the last punishment, a possibility flashed through Qian Rongxiu's mind. Hold on tightly. If you don't, you will fall down. Ao Xing exhaled a breath of dragon. The next second, Qian Rongxiu found that she could not use her soul power. The evil dragon placed her on something the size of a rolling pin that Tang Yuehua used to make cakes, and then loosened his grip. So slippery. Qian Rongxiu stumbled forward the first moment, but fortunately she was facing the evil dragon and was able to use her shoulders to lean on the dragon's head to support herself. Otherwise, she would most likely slip and fall directly into the sea below. Wait, your feet are slipping? Qian Rongxiu seemed to realize something. She looked down at what she was stepping on and suddenly felt very shy. Dragon? Lustful dragon, why could he think of such a strange way of punishment? Before Qian Rongxiu could think any more, Ao Xing's voice rang out, hold on for half an hour. If you lose your balance and fall, you have to start the timer again. Hey, I guess you don't want to experience the thrill of falling from a high altitude, right? Pa! Qian Rongxiu couldn't help but spit at the evil dragon in front of her, but the other party didn't care at all and instead tilted his head back. As a result, the balance she had just maintained with great difficulty was lost again, and with the soapy water touching the soles of her feet, she completely lost her center of gravity. Looking at the sea below, Qian Rongxiu's pupils suddenly dilated. She immediately moved her feet in small and quick steps, mobilizing all the muscles in her body, and finally managed to regain her balance. But because the dragon's entire body was crystallized and her skin was exceptionally smooth and tender, she had to constantly adjust under the influence of the soapy water in order to stay standing. Chapter 40, Taming the Dragon with its Methods. Even though she was extremely reluctant, Qian Rongxiu still moved frequently and with difficulty in order to avoid falling into the sea from mid-air, using her feet to find balance on the supporting axis. Fortunately, the surface of the supporting shaft was not smooth, but had raised veins to provide support, otherwise she would definitely fall into the sea below in an instant. With her soul power sealed and unable to mobilize her martial spirit, she couldn't imagine how horrible it would be to fall straight down from 1,000 meters high. As she gradually found her balance, Qian Rongxiu's figure gradually stabilized. For a soul master whose strength is close to that of a soul saint, even if he cannot call upon soul power, it is extremely easy for him to control his body. Soon, she stood on the phantom dragon like a sculpture, gritting her silver teeth and staring angrily at the evil dragon in front of her. Ha, you have quite a temper. You probably don't understand your current situation yet, do you? Ao Xing lowered his eyes to look at Qian Rongxiu's bare feet, then controlled the phantom dragon to lift it slightly upwards. This is not a difficult task for the evil dragon. Because, in order to ensure that key parts would not be injured in battle, the evil dragon evolved a belly sack, which could hold the phantom dragon at any time. But for Qian Rongxiu, the balance she had worked so hard to find was destroyed. She could only rely on her own flexibility and ability to control her body, constantly adjusting the position of her soft soles to regain her sense of balance and avoid falling. Ao Xing, on the other hand, looked very much enjoying it. Qian Rongxiu is just a pet to him. The previous favoritism and care for her was entirely due to her beauty, and also because Qian Rongxiu was not a disgusting character in the original work. However, Ao Xing did not expect that the other party still had a deep obsession with escaping. At this moment, Qian Rongxiu realized that the evil dragon's punishment had just begun. But as a stubborn person, she refused to admit defeat. Even though the evil dragon made such a foul move, she just glared at the other party fiercely with her phoenix eyes, and then worked hard without saying a word. Although she wanted to resist the dragon in her heart. But the difference in strength between the two was too great. She knew that if she overcame her fear of falling from a high altitude and just gave up, the dragon might do something that would be even more difficult for her to accept. Endure the calm for a while. Ao Xing had been silently watching Qian Rongxiu's expression, which was quite interesting. Don't pedal so fast, there's still a lot of time left. You should know that your identity is a woman abducted by the evil dragon, not the young master of the spirit hall, or the prince of the Heaven Do Empire. Put aside your ridiculous dignity in front of me, and it's best not to disobey me. You must have talked a lot with Zi Zhenzu and Tang Yuehua these days, right? I believe you know my methods. It took the evil dragon nearly 2 hours to bring Qian Rongxiu, whose hands were tied behind her back to the ground from the air. Tang Yuehua looked at Qian Rongxiu with worry in her eyes. The two of them are on the same boat. Although she is somewhat resistant to Qian Rongxiu's identity as the young master of the Spirit Hall, he is the only person she is close to and familiar with on the island. Therefore, Tang Yuehua does not want Qian Rongxiu to be hurt. This is from the perspective of an older woman. After all, in a sense, she is still Qian Rongxiu's etiquette teacher. Lord Dragon. Tang Yuehua nodded slightly and said to Ao Xing respectfully, lunch is ready. There are 5 ways to eat it. As she spoke, she quickly looked at Qian Rongxiu. The dragon didn't seem to do anything too extreme to it. Qian Rongxiu's clothes were relatively neat, and there was nothing strange or sticky on her face or around her mouth. But there were many beads of sweat on her forehead and her calves were shaking. Also, her toes were not stretched out like normal, but curled up, and the arch of her foot that touched the ground had a slight arc. Before Tang Yuehua could think about what happened, the evil dragon smiled evilly, "You are very sensible, but I am not hungry yet. Zioxiu, go eat first." Ao Xing suddenly appeared in front of Tang Yuehua, and then brought her into the air. All this happened in a flash, and when Qian Rongxiu discovered it, the evil dragon and Tang Yuehua were gone. She squinted her eyes desperately and looked up at the sky. However, because the dragon was flying too high, she could only vaguely see a black dot in the distant sky and could not really see what the dragon was doing. Sister Yuehua is basically no different from ordinary people. This is too difficult for her. Qian Rongxiu couldn't help but flash a trace of worry in her eyes. Relying on her physical fitness, she managed to hold on for half an hour after several failures. During this period, she slipped and fell more than once, although the evil dragon was always able to bring her back to the sky when she was about to collide with the sea. However, the feeling of weightlessness during each fall and the increasingly faster falling speed made her terrified. Sister Yuehua, can she endure such torture? Sitting at the dining table and looking at the sumptuous food, Qian Rongxiu had no appetite. However, in the sky, Ao Xing did not treat Tang Yuehua the same way he treated Qian Rongxiu. He simply and roughly gave an air shock. Since Qian Rongxiu had stepped on him for a long time beforehand, it didn't last too long. In addition, Ao Xing deliberately released dragon breath to protect Tang Yuehua. Therefore, Tang Yuehua, who did not have the physical fitness of Zai Zhensu, just lay in bed for 3 days. Ao Xing, on the other hand, inflicted the same punishment on Qian Rongxiu for 3 consecutive days. I really have to use the dragon's methods to deal with them. Ao Xing looked at the taming value which had directly risen to 40/100, and he was secretly delighted. The rate of increase in these 3 days is much faster than before. This also proves that if the means are too gentle, it will not be conducive to taming Qian Rongxiu. At the same time, it also proved that his change in taming methods was completely correct. In the next few days, we will have to step up the heat. Ao Xing thought secretly, I will try to raise the taming value to 100 as soon as possible. The dragon's appearance makes it really inconvenient to do things. According to the pirates, Hanhai City has stepped up its investigation in the past few days. The Spirit Hall, the Tiandu Empire, and various other forces are all searching for my whereabouts. Humph. Ao Xing was a little angry. If he wasn't afraid of Bibi Dong and Qian Daoliu joining forces, with his current temper, he would definitely find those people who are against him and send them to accompany Ning Fengzi. We must settle accounts with these guys afterwards. I have never seen a scene where cobalt diamond scales are embedded into the opponent's body and then detonated. We have punished Qian Rongxiu for 3 consecutive days. Let's let her go today and start the second stage of taming tomorrow. Chapter 41, Sink, Qian Rongxiu. The sun rose again as usual. Qian Rongxiu suddenly opened her eyes. After being punished repeatedly by the lustful dragon these days, she no longer looks forward to the arrival of a new day as much as before. However, to her surprise, the evil dragon did not come to see her today, but lay lazily on the beach early in the morning. Next to him was a huge golden bucket, and the Icelanders were constantly cutting coconuts and pouring coconut water into it. Seeing this scene, Qian Rongxiu couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. She threw back the quilt and massaged her feet. In the past few days, the evil dragon would wait until her legs cramped before giving up. The blood vessels in the feet became more and more clearly visible due to the damage done to them. Even the originally pink solace of the feet seemed to have become more translucent, like crystal jade, due to the wear and tear of the skin. Hey! Why did it become like this? Qian Rongxiu was a little confused. Although her life was not fulfilling during the first few days on the island, she was happy and leisurely every day. Although the dragon's attitude towards her was not completely equal, it at least showed respect. But a few days ago, when she expressed her hope that Grandpa Chien Douluo would come and rescue her as soon as possible, and the evil dragon heard it, he instantly changed his attitude. In its eyes, I seem to have changed from a human being to a pet. Qian Rongxiu frowned slightly. So, the dragon wants me to not resist it and obey it in every way. Or does it want me to completely give up the idea of escaping? That's not right. Qian Rongxiu fell into deep thought. She was a little confused about what the evil dragon was thinking. Because the other party's attitude towards it has changed so much. Could it be that dragons are inherently moody? Why? How? Can a human possibly understand the mind of a dragon? Let's take one step at a time. Qian Rongxiu put on her clothes and walked towards Tang Yuehua's room. After a few days of rest, Tang Yuehua was able to get out of bed and walk. Zioxiu, you must not resist the dragon. I can sense that the more you act like you are running away from Purple Pearl, the worse it will treat you. On the contrary, if you can obey it, it will treat you more gently as before. Sister Yuehua, I know. Qian Rongxiu nodded and said, I vaguely feel that it treats me like a pet. If I am docile, it will be gentle. If I resist, it's bad. Tang Yuehua nodded, that's right. To us, a dragon might be just an animal, ahem, but from its perspective, looking at humans might be no different from looking at an animal. Hey! Qian Rongxiu sighed and began to feel some regret. Why didn't she resist when her mother Bibi Dong asked her to hide in the Tiandu Palace? Why did she risk using the jewels to get Shueke back even though she knew that the evil dragon liked to kidnap human princesses? Thinking back on the past 20 years, Qian Rongxiu felt filled with regret. As long as she doesn't follow other people's arrangements, she can completely avoid being abducted to the island by the evil dragon. Qian Rongxiu whispered softly, it's your own life, you have to decide for yourself. Is it too late to understand this truth now? But the damn dragon also told me to enjoy my life before. Hey, Sister Yuehua, are you okay? What did the dragon do to you? Pa! Tang Yuehua suddenly patted Qian Rongxiu's head and said with a serious expression, don't ask about these things. On the beach. Ao Xing did not deliberately eavesdrop on the conversation between Qian Rongxiu and Tang Yuehua. After torturing Qian Rongxiu for the past few days, it could clearly feel that the other party hated it more and more, but at the same time, it was less and less willing to disobey it. He was very satisfied with this. Because taming does not mean making the other person fall in love with you. There is no need to care whether she hates herself or not. The most important thing now is to make Qian Rongxiu obey his orders to the extent that he follows his orders. The punishment a few days ago was a destruction of her sense of shame, but it was not thorough enough. So, we must continue to add fuel to the fire. Qian Rongxiu, who was sleeping, suddenly woke up inexplicably. She subconsciously glanced out the window, and it was still pitch black. Is it because of the new room and new bed? Qian Rongxiu was a little confused as to why she woke up in the middle of the night. She immediately attributed it to the fact that they had moved into the dragon castle which the pirates had just built today. After all, compared to normal rooms, the rooms inside the dragon castle are decorated very strangely. Everything was made of gold or gems, even the bed under him was made of gold. Qian Rongxiu naturally felt a little resistant to such tacky interior decoration. However, to her surprise, the bed made of gold was not hard at all, but much softer than a normal bed. Is this why I woke up in the middle of the night? No, I woke you up. Suddenly, from the darkness of the room, the voice of the evil dragon was heard. Qian Rongxiu woke up in shock, pulled the quilt over her and curled up against the back of the bed. Are you scared? No, I'm not afraid. Qian Rongxiu never imagined why the evil dragon would enter her room in the middle of the night. It would be a lie to say I'm not afraid. After all, Tang Yuehua was held in the sky by the evil dragon and tossed around a few days ago. She felt like a broken body and was paralyzed on the bed, unable to move. And now, the evil dragon suddenly came to her room in the middle of the night. It was hard for Qian Rongxiu not to think in that direction. No, it will kill people. Compared to that thing, her feet seemed small. Qian Rongxiu recalled the scene in the air a few days ago, and her whole body couldn't help but shiver. Hey, you're lying. You're scared. Me. Qian Rongxiu was speechless and didn't know how to explain herself. Because she knew that if she disobeyed the dragon, she would be punished more severely. According to Zi Gensu, after she insulted the evil dragon that day, even her mouth was dislocated by him. If you change yourself, Jian Rongxiu didn't even dare to imagine it. Get up and go to the bathroom. Ao Xing's tone was emotionless. Jian Rongxiu was also unable to figure it out. However, because she was afraid of disobeying the dragon and making it angry, which would result in her receiving some inhuman punishment, Jian Rongxiu slowly stood up. Ahoy! Don't you understand me? Why do you need to wrap yourself in a blanket when you go to the bathroom? Faced with the evil dragon's questioning, Jian Rongxiu did not answer, but decisively loosened her hands and let the quilt fall off naturally. Because she was wearing silk pajamas. Seeing this scene, Ao Xing's mouth curled up and he continued to urge Jian Rongxiu to walk towards the bathroom. Chapter 42. Extreme Humiliation, Trampling on Dignity, a Dance Between Dragons and Snakes. Take off. The dragon's orders were so calm and without any emotion. Jian Rongxiu froze in place. When the evil dragon appeared in the room in the middle of the night, she expected that he would definitely want to do something dirty to her. When the other party asked her to go into the bathroom, this idea became more certain in her mind. Therefore, she walked from the bed to the bathroom, which was only about 6 or 7 meters, but she took small steps and it took her half a minute to walk. During this process, Jian Rongxiu thought a lot. She is not a teenager anymore, so perhaps she behaves childishly when facing Bibi Dong, Jian Daoliu and other relatives. But during the nearly 20 years she had been lurking in the Tiandu Palace, pretending to be the Crown Prince Xue Qinghe, she was not just playing the role of Xue Qinghe. As the Crown Princess, she was treading on thin ice in the turbulent Tiandu court. If he had no scheming, he might have been manipulated by Prince Xuexing and his people long ago, and the Crown Prince of the Tiandu Empire might not be Xue Qinghe, but Xue Beng, to compromise, to use ruthless means, to play both sides of the millstone. Jian Rongxiu was well versed in all these court tactics. Therefore, she knew that no matter how much she begged tonight, the evil dragon would never let her go. But Jian Rongxiu glanced at the phantom dragon and her legs immediately began to tremble. She still remembers clearly the miserable condition Tang Yuehua suffered a few days ago, for these things. Anyone can imagine the scene at that time. Jian Rongxiu is no exception. Therefore, her heart, which had been prepared to endure the dragon's humiliation, began to waver again. Do you really want to take it off? Jian Rongxiu was extremely conflicted. The dragon in front of him gradually looked ferocious. Wow! Jian Rongxiu closed her eyes tightly, gritted her teeth, and pulled the silk ties. Then, the nightgown, which was as thin as skin, slid off her body and fell on the tiles of the bathroom. And she, with her hands tightly clasped in front of Yu, lowered her head slightly, with a painful look on her face. At the same time, he let out a low whimper, like a poor lamb, fearfully retreating to the corner of the bathroom, reluctant to open his eyes. As for Ao Xing, he just stood there motionless, silently staring at the exquisite body in front of him. Time just passed by minute. Jian Rongxiu was suffering in extreme tension, but the evil dragon never took any action against her. After struggling for a long time, she finally opened her eyes and looked ahead. In the darkness, the evil dragon was holding a very small gadget in his hand. The shape is very strange. As if he understood Jian Rongxiu's doubts, Ao Xing explained. This thing is called a vernier caliper. It's a measuring tool. You can simply think of it as a ruler with very high precision. The measurement error is about the same as a hair. Ao Xing was not a successful person in his previous life, but he was not a loser either. Therefore, after he described the vernier caliper to the craftsman kidnapped by the pirates, the craftsman made it easily. After all, Douluo continent is a fantasy world. Even without the support of industrial foundation or technology, it is not difficult to create something with not too high technological content with the help of special abilities such as martial spirit, soul power, and mental power. Moreover, as long as the principle of vernier caliper is understood, ordinary craftsmen can make it by hand, and the final product will only differ in accuracy. Oh, Jian Rongxiu responded, and at the same time she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out to be a high-precision ruler, not a prop for livening up the fun. Relax your body, open your arms, and stand up straight. Ao Xing looked at Jian Rongxiu and spoke coldly. After some hesitation, the other party finally followed the evil dragon's order and made a cross shape. Close your eyes. Jian Rongxiu did not hesitate at all and followed the dragon's order to close her eyes. For her, Facing such a situation, not being able to see the dragon's movements could actually reduce a lot of stress in her heart. She couldn't ask for more. However, Jian Rongxiu still didn't quite understand what the evil dragon was trying to do. Just as she was thinking, a breeze blew towards her. The dragon walked up to her. Jian Rongxiu couldn't help but frown slightly, and she pursed her lips, looking very nervous. However, after waiting for nearly a minute, the evil dragon did not take the next step. She knew that the other party was admiring her appearance. But just as she was about to breathe a sigh of relief, she suddenly felt a metallic chill on both sides of her nose. Vernier caliper. Jian Rongxiu immediately thought of the tool that the evil dragon had just held in his hand. Nose wing width 4.963. Nose length 7.326. The tip of the nose. The ratio of nose length to nose tip is 1:0.68, which is a little bigger than the golden ratio. But that's why the nose looks so tall. Well, next, measure the lips. 1.25 on the left. 1.29 on the right. The two sides are not the same size. Ao Xing kept measuring every part of Jian Rongxiu's body with a vernier caliper. At the same time, the measured data was deliberately reported. At first, Jian Rongxiu showed no expression when her facial features were being measured, but as the measurement process progressed, her whole body began to tremble. At the same time, breathing begins to accelerate. In the end, a crystal tear even slid down the corner of his eye. Seeing this scene, Ao Xing smiled. He deliberately slowed down the pace of subsequent measurements. And Jian Rongxiu, just as he had expected, began to gradually collapse and become desperate, and in the end she looked as if she had lost all desire to live. So much so that she was still immersed in pain and didn't notice when the evil dragon left her room. After Ao Xing finished humiliating Jian Rongxiu with the vernier caliper, he did not return to his room. It broke into Purple Pearl's room, grabbed her while she was still sleeping, and then flew to the sea outside the castle. Although you can't summon your martial spirit's true form yet, you should have the soul skills possessed by your martial spirit, right? Ao Xing asked. Zai Zhenzu had just woken up from her sleep, feeling panicked and a little confused. She had no idea what the dragon was going to do. However, Purple Pearl did not dare to lie to the evil dragon's question. She said truthfully, my third soul skill can simply gain some of the abilities of the martial soul sea viper, and at the same time my lower body will also turn into a sea viper. Okay. Ao Xing was overjoyed, release it and let me see it. Zai Zhenzu didn't hesitate and directly activated her third soul skill. Of course, after she saw the dragon's phantom limb and its expression in the dark, she understood what it was going to do. Before Zai Zhenzu could prepare, the evil dragon pounced on her, and a wave of pain came instantly. Chapter 43. The whereabouts of the evil dragon are discovered. Hanhai City. A pirate dressed in linen, with exposed skin the color of dark brown, was stopped by a group of guards. Tell me, where did you get so many gold soul coins? We have been watching you for a long time. The leading team leader questioned the pirates in a serious tone. The latter immediately realized that something was wrong. Where is the dragon? If you tell me the truth, I may be able to spare your life. If you continue to help the tyrant, you will lose your head. The captain of the guard shouted loudly, and the other soldiers behind him raised their weapons and aimed at the pirates. What are you guys saying? I don't understand. Where did the gold soul coins come from? I am a registered soul master in the spirit hall. Isn't it normal for me to receive a gold soul coin subsidy every month? The pirate immediately lit up his spirit ring. Yellow, purple, purple, although it is not the optimal ratio, soul masters at the soul king level are considered relatively powerful and rare in Douluo continent. The leading captain of the guard suddenly felt like he was facing a formidable enemy. Pirates from nearby waters like to come to Hanhai City to sell stolen goods or consume them. This is something that all the guards in Hanhai City know. In the past, even if they knew that the people entering the city were pirates, they would not stop them. Because, Hanhai City, as an important border town in the west of the Tiandong Empire and the commercial capital of the Haagen-Dazs Kingdom, is home to several Soul Douluo level warriors. If ordinary pirates dare to cause trouble in the city, they will definitely be caught by the Soul Masters and executed at the execution ground in the center of Hanhai City. If the pirates did not cause trouble when they entered the city, but simply came to sell stolen goods or buy some necessities for going out to sea, the guards would turn a blind eye. After all, this is one of the important economic sources of Hanhai City. However, not long ago, the treasury of Hanhai City was looted by an evil dragon. After the Tiandu Empire and the Spirit Hall sent people to Hanhai City to inspect, the guards became more strict in their inspections of pirates. If there is even the slightest suspicion, the pirates will be arrested and tortured to extract a confession. Because, according to the notification from the Empire and the Spirit Hall, the evil dragon is very likely to have originated from a small island somewhere in the ocean west of Hanhai City. A few days ago, a large number of craftsmen in Hanhai City who were skilled in making and operating equipment were kidnapped by pirates, which just confirmed this speculation. Therefore, in the past few days in Hanhai City, the guards would indiscriminately interrogate anyone who looked like a pirate. It turns out to be Lord Soul King. My apologies, my apologies. After seeing the pirate's soul ring, the captain of the guard immediately apologized and let him go. Hey, look at you guys. Bully the weak and fear the strong. Although the pirate spoke arrogantly, he still walked quickly out of Hanhai City. After all, the identity of a pirate is not to be revealed. Even according to the laws of the Tiandu Empire, after capturing pirates, they will be tortured by the anchor. Put the anchor through the pirate's chest, hang it on the ship, and let it die in the scorching sun. The guards did not arrest him, mainly because they had no evidence. After all, the gold soul coin is ownerless. Fortunately, Lord Evil Dragon likes jewelry, so he only allows me to use the gold soul coins to buy daily necessities in Hanhai City. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be in trouble this time. The pirate was secretly delighted. However, just after he left Hanhai City, the captain of the guard immediately ran to the city lord's mansion. Is what you said true? The one who questioned the captain of the guard was not the lord of Hanhai City, but Douluo, a guest elder of the Tiandu Empire. And beside Douluo, there was a cardinal who was completely covered in red robes. Everything is true. That guy is called Jika, and he's a soul king from the Purple Pearl Pirates. Douluo said, it's normal for a martial spirit expert to carry hundreds or thousands of gold soul coins, right? As long as a soul master of this level doesn't live a lazy life and wait for death, he will definitely not be so poor that he can't pay. The subsidy from the Spirit Hall alone seems to be several hundred gold soul coins every month, right? Douluo looked at the cardinal standing beside him. Ah! The other party nodded mysteriously and said no more. That's true. But the problem is that the other party is from the Purple Pearl Pirates. Douluo, please tell me in detail. Don't keep me in suspense. I don't have much patience. Seeing His Majesty the titled Douluo urging him, the captain of the guard quickly explained the Purple Pearl Pirates are extremely powerful. There are several soul kings in the group. It is said that the leader of the pirate group, Purple Pearl, has even reached the level of Soul Emperor. However, compared to other pirate groups, the Purple Pearl Pirates are not that vicious. They only rob fleets of pirates or profiteers, and every time they rob a piece of spoils, the leader Zi Genzu will give most of it to the poor Icelanders on the nearby islands. Therefore, each pirate from the Purple Pearl Pirates will actually get less money. Besides, pirates are all villains who only care about the pleasure of the moment and don't live frugally. There's no way Jika can take out so many gold soul coins at once. Moreover, all the things he bought were daily necessities, especially a lot of spices and seasonings for cooking, as well as many items that only women would use. The leader of the Purple Pearl Pirates, Purple Pearl, is a woman, and it is said that she is a tomboy. It's obvious that Jika didn't buy these things for her. So I suspect the evil dragon is lurking on Purple Pearl Island. The captain of the guard explained his reasons to Douluo and the cardinal of the Spirit Hall. Both of them knew that Tang Yuehua, the master of Yuexuan Pavilion, was abducted by an evil dragon. After a brief discussion, they reached a consensus. Even if the evil dragon is not hiding in the Purple Pearl Island, there must be some unknown secrets on the Purple Pearl Island. We have to pass this news back to Tiandu City, Wuhan City. Although they are not flying martial spirits, Douluo and the cardinal have very high cultivation levels. In less than 2 days, Emperor Shuiye and Pope Bibidong both received the news. Purple Pearl Island. Where? How far is it from Poseidon Island? As soon as Bibidong learned the news, she immediately sent someone to get the map. The Tiandu Empire has also heard the news, right? It is said that the Tiandu royal family has a national treasure called the Vast Sea Universe Cover. This operation requires a long ocean journey. Send someone to tell them that if the Heaven Do Empire wants the Spirit Hall to help find the Crown Prince, they need to borrow the Vast Sea Universe Cover. When Emperor Shuiye heard the news, he sat up from his sickbed in shock and immediately called Prince Xuexing, Ji Long, and others to start discussing. While Ao Xing was busy improving Qian Rongxiu's taming value, various forces began to plan actions against the Purple Pearl Island. Chapter 44. Just cry. Who can save you? Wake up feeling refreshed. The first thing that came to Ao Xing's mind was the dance of dragons and snakes in the sea last night. This is the first time I've encountered a snake person. It's really unforgettable. After stretching comfortably, he turned on the system. I saw that the taming value had increased to 77/100. This surprised Ao Xing a little. The taming value increased overnight last night, even exceeded the total of the past half month. This method should have been used a long time ago. In the past, I was too kind. This is Douluo continent, a world where the strong prey on the weak, with no laws or rules. And I'm a dragon. Ao Xing had another plan in mind. He found the craftsmen kidnapped by the pirates and asked them to start making some devices according to his instructions. Afterwards, another inspection of the island was carried out. Under his arrangement, Purple Pearl Island became a huge construction site. The pirates were busy, even those who were called old, weak, sick, and disabled were working. Seeing an 8 or 9-year-old child carrying several gold bricks and walking with difficulty on the beach, Ao Xing did not feel any guilt. In Douluo continent, everyone has a martial spirit. In places like Purple Pearl Island where soul masters gather, almost all the descendants of pirates have soul power. Their physical fitness is far superior to that of children of the same age. How can you have the energy to play and fight but not the energy to work? Furthermore, although Ao Xing was evil, he really did not treat the people on the island badly. His arrival not only improved the pirates' cooking methods and techniques, but also allowed this group of desperate criminals on the sea to receive daily wages without having to fight or kill. He would even help many hard-working pirate soul masters find soul rings when they broke through. However, everything that was done was to prevent these pirates from being passive and lazy and to stimulate their enthusiasm. However, being able to live so happily under the hands of a vicious dragon is already a great blessing. These guys, just be content. Those troublemakers who were not convinced by Ao Xing had all been burned into grey smoke by the dragon flame and dissipated in the wind. Time flew by and 2 more days passed. On the first day, Ao Xing was bullying Qian Rongxiu to increase her taming value. The next day, Ao Xing was still bullying Qian Rongxiu and increasing her taming value. In the past 2 days, Ao Xing mainly took the most normal punishment measures. For example, flogging, waterboarding, etc. I want to make Qian Rongxiu collapse physically. Of course, his punishment process was not as cruel as the 10 cruel tortures of the Qing dynasty. He controlled the intensity very well. Pain is just the spice. He focuses on the process. While inflicting pain, destroy the opponent's psychological defenses. Because it seemed that before I traveled through time, I had a deep memory of a sentence said by John Bull, a philosopher named Jeremy Bentham. Nature has placed men under 2 sovereigns, pleasure and pain, who complement each other. The implication of this sentence is that these 2 seemingly opposite poles can occur at the same time, making people feel both happy and painful. And this kind of feeling is something that only humans have. Just like eating spicy food. Spiciness is not a taste, but a stimulating feeling. It transmits the spicy signal to the brain by stimulating the sensory nerves in the mouth, and the pain cells on the tongue produce the spicy feeling. It is different from the tastes captured by the taste buds, such as sour, sweet, bitter, and salty. Therefore, eating spicy food can be trained. Similarly, liking spicy food is actually a kind of enjoyment of a certain kind of pain. This can make people feel happy. Of course, after 2 days of painful stimulation, Ao Xing decided to mentally torture Qian Rongxiu once again today. The taming value has reached 85. Come on, come on. I estimate that in a few days, I will be able to complete the task and transform into a human form. After Ao Xing opened the system panel and observed, a rogue smile flashed across his lips. Afterwards, he found the craftsmen and took the objects they had been asked to make a few days ago. A golden bath chair. Compared to normal chairs, bathing chairs are much shorter, and the seat is slightly tilted downward, with an angle of about 15 degrees with the horizontal plane. This kind of chair is easy to slide down when sitting on, and it can also greatly reduce the contact between the body and the chair surface. Take off. The evil dragon suddenly appeared in the room again. Qian Rongxiu was not surprised by this. Since the last time, she seemed to have become desensitized to this kind of thing. Without any hesitation, she pulled the laces of the semi-transparent silk pajamas that Ao Xing specially asked Tang Yuehua to cut for her. A thin body slowly fell down. Ao Xing deliberately looked at her with greedy eyes, but he found that Jianrongxue was like the old ice on the glacier that existed for thousands of years, and her expression did not change at all. Well, it seems she's used to it. Jianrongxue waited for the evil dragon's next move. However, what she didn't expect was that this time the evil dragon did not bring any strange props, but a small golden chair that looked nothing special. Take a shower in the chair. After you take a shower, I'll take you out for some fun. I think you are going to get moldy staying on this purple pearl island. The dragon's tone sounded relaxed. But to Jianrongxue, it was like a bolt from the blue. Because she had just observed something special about the chair. This chair is much lower than ordinary chairs. This evil dragon. It's really so evil. Jianrongxue was extremely angry in her heart, but there was not much expression on her face. She is just a soul master who is less than level 70. Even if her martial soul is at the god level, what use is it against the evil dragon? If the other party wanted to kill her or control her, he only needed to move his fingers lightly. Jianrongxue closed her eyes, picked up the shower head beside her, and then slowly sat on the special golden stool. And Ao Xing, looking at his somewhat unwilling expression, did not show any displeasure. After all, the taming value has not reached 100. It is normal for the other party to have resistance in his heart. Tisk tisk tisk. It's beautiful. Ao Xing made a deliberate sound while admiring the scene. Hearing the evil dragon's words, Jianrongxue's tightly closed eyes began to shed cold tears. Her expression was tearful, yet unusually calm, which was very subtle. She said nothing and followed her usual bathing process, moving the shower head up and down along her skin at a steady pace. It seemed like just an ordinary bath. Snort, faced with Jianrongxue's somewhat aggrieved expression, Ao Xing did not feel any sympathy. Poor person must have something mean. His kind words only resulted in Jianrongxue running away from the growing bird head. If she had always been well behaved, he would not have had to resort to such means. After all, as a dragon, he prefers obedience, not coercion. Chapter 45. Swallow the gem, thousands of streams are coming to kill. Taming value 89/100. Ao Xing walked out of the bathroom and looked at the information on the panel, a smile flashed in his eyes. In the past few days, the increase in taming value was like riding a rocket, so fast that it was unbelievable to Long. Thinking back to the past, he treated Jianrongxue with kind words and kindness, but she turned out to be rebellious and unwilling to accept. But now, with the evil dragon's tactics switched to the other party, he barely even had words to refute. Humans are always human. Even though she is Jianrongxue, the young master of the spirit hall, possesses a god-level spirit, she is considered half a descendant of the angel god's residence. But her heart is still a human heart. It's not as weird as some people say. Oh, if it weren't for the fact that this little punk ran so fast. I want to play with him too. Ao Xing suddenly thought of the sanctimonious and pure blue-haired male protagonist, and couldn't help feeling a little regretful. When he attacked Yuexuan twice, he actually wanted to capture the little punk and take him to Purple Pearl Island to torture him. However, Tang San ran so fast the first time that he couldn't find it. Before the second surprise attack on Yuexuan and abducting Tang Yuehua, he arrived above Shrek Academy the night before to observe the situation in the academy. And conducted some reconnaissance through mental power. But to his regret, he did not find any trace of Tangshan. After returning to Purple Pearl Island, he thought about it and understood the reason. It is very likely that his sudden appearance caused Bibi Dong to change her plan, and the soul hunting operation targeting Xiaowu was not launched, allowing the rabbit to escape. And Tang San might also go to the Star Do Great Forest to look for rabbits. In this way, I just missed him. Damn, the protagonist does have some luck. However, the gap in strength cannot be made up by luck. Unless Sea God and Azura God run away from the God realm to Douluo continent, after I tame Jianrongxue, even Bibi Dong, Jiandaoliu and Poseidon won't be able to do anything to me. Ao Xing is very confident in his own strength. Because he did not stay on Purple Pearl Island during this period. He also often goes to the deep ocean to look for some powerful sea soul beasts to fight with. It was this action that made him realize that the vastness of the ocean is far beyond that of the land. He found many 100,000-year-old sea soul beasts that were not mentioned in the original book. Moreover, perhaps because the ocean is so vast, these sea soul beasts, known as overlords, have no rivals, and their cultivation is often more than 150,000 years, extremely powerful. It is for this reason, coupled with the fact that the battle took place at sea, not on land. He was not able to have a satisfying fight with these sea soul beast overlords. Many times, I had the upper hand in the battle. The opponent would take advantage of their familiarity with the terrain to escape, leaving Ao Seeing with nothing to gain and no chance to taste the meat of a 100,000-year-old soul beast. Zioxu, change your clothes. Today I will take you to the far north to see the scenery of the snowy country. The few flowers and plants near the ice and fire yin-yang spring in the sunset forest had long been destroyed by Tang San. Under the Xingde Lake in the Xingde Great Forest, De Tian was sleeping. The Purple Pearl Island is considered to be the westernmost place, and further west is the Poseidon Island. Therefore, Ao Seeing thought about it and decided that the far north was slightly safer. If he was lucky enough to encounter that useless thing called Tianmeng Ice Silkworm, his strength might be further improved. It is good. Qian Rongxiu just nodded numbly. To her, it makes no difference whether it is the far east, the far south, the far west, or the far north. Ahoy! Just when Ao Seeing was about to pull Qian Rongxiu up and fly to the far north, Qian Rongxiu's originally dim eyes suddenly flickered. At the same time, excitement filled his face. Although it was only for a moment, Ao Seeing still caught it. What are you happy about? No. Qian Rongxiu pretended nothing happened. However, the more indifferent she was, the more Ao Seeing felt that there was something wrong. No, your grandfather is here, right? A guess flashed through Ao Seeing's mind. After all, although Bibi Dong and Qian Rongxiu are mother and daughter, their martial spirits do not have much connection. On the contrary, Qian Daoliu and Qian Rongxiu both have angel spirits. Although Qian Daoliu's martial soul is a four-winged angel, Qian Rongxiu's martial soul is a six-winged angel. But there is no guarantee that the other party has any means to detect Qian Rongxiu's whereabouts. Damn! Ao Seeing looked at Qian Rongxiu, who was silent, and suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. He didn't think about how Qian Daoliu found this place, but was thinking of a solution quickly in his mind. Although, after his whole body has been crystallized, he may not be able to defeat an upper limit Douluo, but his life is definitely safe. But it is absolutely impossible to defeat or kill the opponent. Humph! Since you've taken the initiative to come here to cause trouble, don't blame me for being ruthless. Ao Seeing forced Qian Rongxiu to take out several gems that he had left behind from her storage device. The gems were slightly larger than grapes and slightly smaller than tangerines. Swallow. No. Qian Rongxiu closed her mouth, changed her usual behavior, and resisted Ao Seeing's order. She could already sense that her grandfather Qian Daoliu was only a few thousand meters away from here. For the grandpa who is invincible in the sky, this distance can be reached in just a blink of an eye, and she had also seen the methods of the evil dragon Ao Seeing when she was in the Star Do Great Forest. Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo were both seriously injured by the explosion of a pile of gems. If she swallows the gem now, it would be tantamount to burying a time bomb. Your life will be completely in the hands of the dragon. Even if Grandpa Qian Daoliu can defeat the evil dragon, as long as the opponent detonates the gem, she will explode and die. Therefore, even though Qian Rongxiu's obedience value had been raised to an extremely high level by Ao Seeing, when faced with the opportunity to gain freedom, she chose to resist. And Ao Seeing naturally knew that she was delaying time. By the time Qian Daoliu reaches Purple Pearl Island, he will most likely not have the opportunity to force Qian Rongxiu to swallow the gem and thus threaten Qian Daoliu. Therefore, without any hesitation, Ao Seeing directly activated the time stop. Within a few hundred meters of him, everything came to a standstill. At the same time, a white figure flying from a distance suddenly froze when it entered the boundary of this range. Time stops, ignoring strength. Since the size of the gem was slightly larger than Qian Rongxiu's voice channel, Ao Seeing had to ask for help from his brother Huanlong when inserting the gem. 1, 2, 3. He put all the gems into Qian Rongxiu's body, and then his eyes fell on the white figure in the distance. Chapter 46. Bibi Dong is shocked. Qian Daoliu, one of the strongest of the older generation of titled Douluo, known as Invincible in the Sky, after finishing the preparations, Ao Seeing did not cancel the time stop immediately, but stood where he was, observing Qian Daoliu from afar. His extraordinary eyesight allowed him to see Qian Daoliu's appearance clearly even though he was hundreds of meters away. This old guy looks to be only in his 30s or 40s. Like Qian Rongxiu, he also had blonde hair, but the color was much lighter. Under the shining sun in the clear sky, the blonde hair even emitted a faint silver glow. However, even though Jian Rongxiu's overall appearance is somewhat masculine, she is only slightly similar to Jian Douluo at most. However, the temperaments of the two people are quite imaginative. Is it because both of their martial spirits are angel martial spirits? However, Jian Rongxiu's temperament has changed recently. Ao Xing felt slightly happy. Because of her angel martial spirit, Jian Rongxiu exudes a very positive aura all over her body. This also means that even though he is an evil dragon, when he does bad things to others, he will inevitably feel a strong sense of guilt in his heart. Although, it didn't have much impact on Ao Xing. But as a time traveler, his soul inevitably retains some marks of his past life. But fortunately, with the recent improvement in Jian Rongxiu's taming value, this temperament of the other party has become weaker and weaker. How did this old thing find this place? Hey, I haven't had a good fight since I traveled through time. In that case, let's have some fun today. Ao Xing made up his mind and decided to have a real crazy showdown with Jian Douluo to see how strong his fighting ability is. He released the time stop. Evil dragon, give me back my granddaughter. Jian Douluo broke free from the stagnant space and rushed towards Ao Xing quickly, then stopped about 20 meters in front of him. At the same time, all the soul masters on Purple Pearl Island noticed the scene in the sky. They were surprised that the man floating in the air appeared above them in the blink of an eye. Could it be that he is a titled Douluo level expert? When the pirates began to whisper, Ao Xing looked at Jian Douluo with a smile. Don't talk nonsense. If you want to get your granddaughter back, let's fight first. Without waiting for Jian Douluo to respond, Ao Xing rushed forward. Just when Jian Douluo thought that the other party wanted to engage in close combat with him, the evil dragon suddenly flew into the sky. I have already planted a restriction in your granddaughter's body. As long as I move my mind, she will explode and die. Come up with me and fight. When Ao Xing's words reached Jian Douluo's ears, he instantly became furious. How dare you do anything to Shuer? While questioning the evil dragon above his head, Jian Douluo looked at Jian Rongxiu, who was standing on the ground in a daze, somewhat happy but with fear in her eyes. I saw the other party nodded. When Jian Rongxiu stopped at the end of Ao Xing, she felt something strange in her throat and stomach. She knew that Ao Xing must have used some means to secretly stuff some gems into her stomach. After receiving the response from his granddaughter, Jian Douluo became even more furious. He immediately summoned his martial spirit and rushed straight upwards. Sword of Judgment! He just shouted loudly, and a sword shining with golden light appeared in his hand. Holy Defense! As soon as he finished speaking, a set of golden armor covered the key parts of his body. Next second a huge dragon's breath rushed towards him, strong and terrifying, as if it was going to swallow up the world. However, Jian Douluo was wearing shining armor, with a sacred light covering his entire body. He was extremely majestic and rushed directly towards the evil dragon. Ao Xing looked down at Jian Douluo and swung his giant tail with disdain. Several cobalt diamond scales broke off and attacked Jian Douluo with astonishing force. Seeing this, Jian Douluo stood proudly in the air, waving the sword in his hand to meet the fierce impact of the dragon scales. Just as the dragon scales and Jian Douluo's sword were about to collide, they suddenly exploded. With a loud bang, the air was instantly torn apart and sparks flew everywhere. The colorful light shines. Many pirates with weaker combat skills who were watching the sky felt dazed and their eyes instantly fell into a state of whiteness. Jian Douluo was also knocked back more than 10 meters by the aftermath of the explosion. What an evil dragon, it only knows how to use these treacherous moves. Jian Douluo's eyes were cold. This is because the power of the means used by the evil dragon is in no way inferior to the full strength attack of an ordinary super Douluo, and this is just the power of exploding 2 dragon scales. Hehe, there's no point in saying more. Just watch this. Ao Xing didn't waste time talking to Jian Douluo. His figure flashed in an instant, and his dragon claws struck Jian Douluo directly. Jian Douluo did not dodge, but activated his 4th soul skill Second Guard. He also didn't know the true strength of the evil dragon. Therefore, I want to test the other party. After being hit hard by the dragon's claws, Jian Douluo easily turned over in the air and regained his balance. But the next second, the evil dragon spewed out raging fire and pounced towards Jian Douluo. He raised the sword high in his hand, divine power surged, and a blazing holy fire burned on the blade of the sword, like a mysterious brand. The sword and fire merged, releasing powerful power. Qian Daoliu then leaped into the air. Ha! It seems that I underestimated the strength of your young dragon. Martial spirit's true form. Qian Daoliu closed his eyes and took a deep breath. With a low chant, the air around him began to tremble. Golden lines appeared on the surface of his body, as if an invisible force was surging under his skin. These golden lines gradually expanded and twisted, and finally turned into a pair of huge golden wings, spreading out in the air behind him. Every feather on its wings shines brightly, as if containing compassion and power. Qian Daoliu's face became solemn and sacred at this moment, and golden rays of light shot out of his eyes, like a real angel. His aura became vast and deep, as if it could embrace everything. With the complete release of his seventh soul skill, a powerful airflow was generated around Qian Daoliu's body, blowing his robe and long hair, causing him to flutter slightly in place. The golden light and Qian Daoliu's wings reflected each other, and the entire space was filled with a sacred and solemn atmosphere. Feeling the powerful momentum coming towards him, Ao Xing was secretly shocked. Through the fight just now, he was able to feel Qian Daoliu's understanding of the angel martial spirit's soul ring, which was mainly defense and weak attack. It's not like Qian Rongxiu who focuses on strong attack, with comprehensive development of AoE, spirit and defense as the secondary. No wonder this old man is called the Invincible in the Sky. Angel spirits are god-level spirits, and flying spirits are rare in Douluo continent. He relies on his defensive soul skills to continuously launch attacks in the air. That is to say, even if both of them are level 99 titled Douluo, and they fight against Qian Daoliu, only Qian Daoliu can initiate the attack. At the moment, I want to seriously injure him, unless I use my whole body. After a brief battle, Ao Xing discovered that his strength was at least that of a level 96 title Douluo. However, compared to Qian Daoliu, it was not enough. The attack might slightly injure the opponent, but it is impossible to defeat Qian Daoliu head-on. Of course, he could just use time pause and place gems or his own scales around Qian Daoliu, just like he did to Fija Douluo and Ghost Douluo before. In this way, Qian Daoliu will definitely suffer a great loss. However, Ao Xing did not intend to do so. Because Qian Daoliu has only revealed a few soul skills at the moment. In case time stop is used, the other party might find out something. And Qian Daoliu, if he did not use his other soul skills and happened to have long-range attacks, he would be in a passive situation. At that time, I can only use Qian Rongxiu to force Qian Daoliu to stop. Although his life could be saved, it would become difficult to tame Qian Rongxiu. Because, once Qian Rongxiu knows that he can't defeat her grandfather, she will definitely have a resistance mentality in her heart, so... Damn! Dupu! What are you doing, old man? Didn't I say stop? Qian Daoliu attacked with a fiery sword energy, and Ao Xing swept it away, then cursed angrily. Don't you understand, people? You won't understand unless I kill your granddaughter. I'll count down to 3, 2, 1. If you don't release your spirit's true form and put away your spirit, I will directly detonate the restrictions placed in your granddaughter's body and blow her into blood foam. Qian Daoliu never expected that the evil dragon who said he wanted to fight him a few seconds ago would now be dangerous. Shameless! He gritted his teeth, wrinkles appeared between his brows, and he put away his martial spirit in a rage. Haha, who am I? I am a dragon. Are you still expecting me to be a decent person? Ao Xing smiled evilly and said, kneel down. Let me punch you 3 times, and I'll make sure your granddaughter's life is safe. Otherwise, your angel Qian family will have no descendants. Disgusting, Qian Daoliu had lived for so many years, but this was the first time he felt so disgusted. This evil dragon knew his lifeline, which was his granddaughter Qian Rongxiu. Therefore, she has been threatening him with Shwe'er unscrupulously. I don't believe you will hurt Shwe'er. Qian Daoliu gritted his teeth, otherwise, you would never threaten me with her so often but not do anything to her. You really don't believe it? Dang! Before Qian Daoliu could utter the word really, he saw a piece of dragon scale of the evil dragon flying towards Qian Rongxiu at a rapid speed. The next moment, with a plop, this level 99 peerless strong man knelt on the beach. Hey, old man, you are really funny. Why are you being so stubborn? Ao Xing retracted the dragon that had cut off Qian Rongxiu's hair, and then slowly walked in front of Qian Daoliu. Boom, he just threw a real punch, trying to see if he could hit Qian Daoliu's stomach. No. Seeing this scene, Jian Rongxiu screamed heartbreakingly. After hearing this, Ao Xing did not stop, but added some hidden power to this punch. The next moment, a faint blood mist spurted out of Jian Daoliu's mouth. Seeing this scene, Jian Rongxiu, who had been standing there stupidly, rushed towards the evil dragon and her grandfather like crazy. Please, stop hitting me. I'll listen to you in everything. You can ask me to do anything. Jian Rongxiu cried hoarsely, which made people feel pity. But Ao Xing did not stop. He looked down at Jian Daoliu who was kneeling in front of him, and swung his fist fiercely again. Since he had released his martial spirit's true form and put away his martial spirit, Jian Daoliu was able to use his soul power to mitigate the power of his punch, but he still suffered considerable damage. Shwar! Jian Daoliu looked at Jian Rongxiu, a strange look flashing in his eyes. Don't come over. After hearing Jian Daoliu's words, Jian Rongxiu suddenly realized something while looking at his flashing pupils, and then stopped. Ahoy! Do you listen to your grandfather so much? Ao Xing was somewhat puzzled by Jian Rongxiu's behavior, but the next second he suddenly discovered that a blazing and powerful light burst out from Jian Daoliu's chest. You old man, are you trying to plot against me? Ao Xing was shocked. He didn't know what moves Jian Daoliu used, but he understood that he was using Jian Daoliu's hand to test his own strength. But the other party must also know his own strength. Therefore, Jian Daoliu dared to attack him when he could easily kill Jian Rongxiu. Then, this attack is absolutely fatal to him. Just as the intense bright light shot towards Ao Xing's chest, he activated the time stop. Damn! Old thing! He looks like a gentleman, but he is so cruel. In the stagnant space, Ao Xing discovered an orange-red light flickering with gold, which condensed into a sword of judgment. This lightsaber shot out from Jian Daoliu's chest, breaking through the crystalline skin defense on his chest and penetrating about 3 or 4 centimeters into his body. Damn! It hurts. Although the wound no longer expanded, Ao Xing could still feel the pain of the power of extreme light corroding his body. After taking a deep breath, Ao Xing walked behind Jian Daoliu. Time stops, ends. Snapped. I saw a huge lightsaber suddenly shooting out from Jian Daoliu's body towards the front. However, Jian Daoliu was punched in the face by the evil dragon that suddenly appeared behind him, and fell sideways on the beach. Old man, you dare to plot against me? How is this possible? In a flash, the pirates on Purple Pearl Island had no idea what was happening. But Jian Daoliu just stayed where he was. As a level 99 titled Douluo, summoning his martial spirit and using spirit skills only requires a thought. Just now, he wanted to take advantage of Ao Xing's inattention and use his strongest attack soul skill to kill him with one blow. But he didn't expect that the evil dragon could move behind him in an instant. You actually master the power of space. Jian Daoliu widened his eyes in fear. A dragon that controls the power of space, how to kill it? How can he rescue Shwar? To this Ao Xing, on the other hand, had a cold face and said nothing. Humph, silly old man, this is the power to control time. Somewhere above the sea outside Purple Pearl Island, Bibi Dong was quietly watching the battle in front of her. She seemed calm, but there was a raging storm in her heart. She suddenly understood how the gem entered her body when she was in the Star Forest. Chapter 47. Humiliating Jian Daoliu and discovering Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong, who had figured it out, blushed suddenly, like a peach blossom blooming for the first time, green and reserved, yet bright and beautiful in a trance. But the next second, her expression suddenly changed and she returned to her indifference. At the same time, her brows slightly frowned, and a look of displeasure flashed across her face. Damn dragon, how dare you do this? Once I tame you, you can be ridden on my lap like a mount every day. But in the blink of an eye, Bibi Dong's face became sad again. Originally, she just thought that the evil dragon was a gem dragon with the ability to control the explosion of gems. This is the only way to seriously injure Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo. Moreover, the 7 treasures glazed tile sect, which housed a large amount of wealth, was razed to the ground overnight. But now, seeing that the evil dragon actually mastered the field of time, she suddenly didn't know what to do. As long as she tames the dragon, she will be able to inherit the throne of Rakshasa in a short period of time. By then, all the soul masters and soul beasts in Douluo continent will be ants. Jian Daoliu, the strong men of Sea God Island, and the dormant beasts in the Soul Beast Forest. Even if they join forces, they can hardly become Bibi Dong's enemy. Douluo continent will be hers to decide. Anyone who disobeys or betrays her will find it difficult to escape from her clutches. She will become the ruler of Douluo continent. But how can we tame this evil dragon? Bibi Dong suddenly fell into deep thought. On the other side, Qian Daoliu's face turned extremely pale. He was not afraid of the space ability possessed by the evil dragon, but he was afraid that his sneak attack just now failed to kill the evil dragon in one blow, which angered the evil dragon, and his precious granddaughter Qian Rongxiu would be in danger of her life because of its anger. In an instant, Qian Daoliu's heart was filled with regret, and a panicked look appeared on his face. He opened his mouth tremblingly and said, "Please, please don't hurt Zioxiu. I was wrong, I was wrong. Don't take it out on Zioxiu. Hit me, don't hurt Zioxiu." Seeing Qian Daoliu who couldn't even speak clearly, the people watching on Purple Pearl Island were immediately surprised. This is a powerful person at the titled Douluo level. Moreover, judging from his martial soul, he should be one of the top titled Douluo masters. As a result, when facing the evil dragon, this titled Douluo who looked extraordinary and powerful would actually hug its legs and keep apologizing and admitting his mistakes. This completely overturned the pirates' cognition. In their eyes, a titled Douluo level warrior should be able to do whatever they want. Except for Purple Pearl, of course. As a person abandoned by Poseidon Island, she had never seen the legendary Poseidon or the titled Douluo level priests of Poseidon Island. However, there have always been legends about these guardians on Poseidon Island. Therefore, she is not particularly interested in titled Douluo level masters. However, she could vaguely guess Qian Daoliu's identity. This old man is at the same level as the high priest of Poseidon Island. Facing the evil dragon, he actually compromised. This is simply incredible. Is Qian Rongxiu's position in his heart so important? Zai Zhenzu silently glanced at the woman who was crying beside her and couldn't help pursing her lips. You want me to say you're wrong? What do you think I am? Ao Xing didn't hesitate at all. He gathered strength in his right hand and, without any moral awareness of caring for the elderly, punched Qian Daoliu hard in the face. As for Qian Daoliu, perhaps in order to appease the evil dragon's rage, he did not put up any defense. The moment the fist made contact with him, he was knocked dozens of meters away. His body fell heavily on the beach in the distance, looking extremely miserable. Qian Rongxiu saw this scene and couldn't help but yelled, don't do this. Grandpa, no, don't hit him, I can do anything you want." "Humph, it's too late." Ao Xing heard Qian Rongxiu's cry, but did not stop and kept beating Qian Daoliu. Seeing her grandfather being pinned to the ground by the evil dragon and being beaten badly, Qian Rongxiu, whose soul power was sealed, took big steps and ran desperately in the direction of the evil dragon and her grandfather. And before Qian Rongxiu arrived, Ao Xing beat Qian Daoliu severely again. The centenarian was in a very miserable state at the moment, with scarlet blood and dust from the beach sticking randomly to his face. Seeing her grandfather like this, Qian Rongxiu couldn't stop her tears from flowing. Time start, before the grandfather and grandson in front of him could start their tragic drama, Ao Xing directly stopped the time in this space. Qian Rongxiu's words suddenly made him vaguely think of a good way to improve the taming value. However, in order to verify the feasibility of this method, he first opened the system panel. The time stop at startup is also to prevent Qian Daoliu from launching a sneak attack. After all, this old guy seemed great and righteous on the surface, but he used a shady trick just now and almost killed him instantly. Fortunately, I reacted quickly, otherwise the whole book would have ended immediately. This time, advance preparation is also to avoid accidents. 91. Fuck, torturing her grandfather can also increase the taming value, isn't this too cool? Ao Xing discovered that the taming of Qian Rongxiu had entered the final stage, and he couldn't help but feel overjoyed. To tame a person is to destroy all his hopes. Qian Daoliu must occupy a very high proportion in Qian Rongxiu's heart. As long as the image of Qian Daoliu in Qian Rongxiu's mind is completely destroyed. So, we can basically complete the final stage, right? So. Ao Xing thought for a while and then came up with an idea. In the distance, Bibi Dong saw the evil dragon use the time field again, and some ideas began to emerge in her mind. She took out the billion orb from her storage device and prepared to shoot it towards the Purple Pearl Island to test the range of the evil dragon's time stop field. But on second thought, he put it back into the storage container and took out his own Pope token. The reason why the orbs are not used is that the evil dragon does have some abilities related to gems. Secondly, I can't bear to let go. Finding jewelry that is just the right size can be a hassle and difficult task. Soon, she used her soul power to shoot the Pope's token at the sea not far from the Purple Pearl Island beach, and it was frozen in the air. 500 meters, Bibi Dong got the answer she wanted. But at the same time, Ao Xing suddenly frowned. In this stagnant space, he is the master, therefore, the sudden appearance of the token caught his attention. Not alive. After discovering that it was not a seagull or some sea soul beast that suddenly broke in, Ao Xing suddenly realized that there was someone lurking in the dark. Who is it? Poseidon, still as Bibi Dong. Stop hiding. Ao Xing suddenly discovered the special pattern on the token and the unique symbol of the spirit hall, and he understood everything. Chapter 48, A Master of Bewitching People. Taming value 100. Ahoy! Bibi Dong was a little surprised when she suddenly heard the evil dragon's roar as loud as a bell. But then he realized that his little action just now must have been discovered, which made the evil dragon discover her hiding place. It can sense everything in the field. Will the dragon be invincible within a range of 500 meters? Bibi Dong slowly approached the evil dragon while constantly thinking about how to deal with it. Qian Rongxiu is her daughter. Although she didn't get along with the old man Qian Daoliu, she also knew that for Qian Daoliu, Qian Rongxiu, who had the potential to become a god, was almost the only one who could be with him. He could even sacrifice himself in exchange for Qian Rongxiu's freedom. Similarly, although the Spirit Hall is now the most powerful force in Douluo continent. However, due to the Rakshasa divine test, her soul power dropped to level 98. Level 98 and level 99 may seem to be just one level different, but the difference in strength between the two is huge. As the Pope of the Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong naturally knew that in Douluo continent, there were more than just Qian Daoliu who were level 99. Therefore, in order to ensure the future, Qian Daoliu cannot die before she completes the 8th test of the Rakshasa god or tames the evil dragon. Just when Bibi Dong was about 600 or 700 meters away from Ao Xing, he released the time stop. Then, Ao Xing asked with a smile, "Your Excellency the Pope, were you happy with the little gadgets I gave you last time?" You. Bibi Dong didn't expect that the evil dragon would talk about this as soon as he released the time stop field. In an instant, a blush appeared on her face. On the other side, when Qian Daoliu and Qian Rongxiu saw Bibi Dong appear, their eyes suddenly lit up with joy. But at this moment, Ao Xing suddenly flew towards Bibi Dong. Seeing this scene, Bibi Dong realized that something was wrong and quickly retreated to the rear. However, even though she currently has a soul power of level 98, her speed is still much inferior to that of the evil dragon. Time stop, start. The moment Bibi Dong began to retreat, Ao Xing released the time stop field again. Oh, silly woman. My time stopping range is a radius of 500 meters, not a diameter of 500 meters. A hint of disdain appeared at the corner of Ao Xing's mouth. He knew that although Bibi Dong's strength had been weakened by half or even more because of the Rakshasa divine test. However, Bibi Dong's IQ remains the same. In an instant, Ao Xing closed the distance between him and Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong had only flown 100 meters when she was enveloped by stagnant space and stayed in mid-air, unable to move at all. In an instant, Qian Daoliu, Qian Rongxiu, and the pirates on the island were all enveloped in a stagnant space with a diameter of 1000 meters. It's a bit troublesome. Ao Xing is 500 meters away from Bibi Dong, and about 300 meters away from Qian Rongxiu and Qian Daoliu. This means that if he were to get close to Bibi Dong, Qian Daoliu and Qian Rongxiu would be out of the time stop field. What should we do? Ao Xing frowned and thought for a while, and immediately thought of a way. He detached several scales from his body and threw them hard towards the pirates of Purple Pearl Island and Qian Daoliu. Then, he flew towards Bibi Dong. A violent explosion occurred on Purple Pearl Island. All the pirates who were not covered by the time stop field were blown to death. Qian Daoliu protected Qian Rongxiu at the first moment. That was exactly why Ao Xing was approaching Bibi Dong and bringing her to Purple Pearl Island. Before Qian Daoliu discovered him, Qian Daoliu was once again trapped in stagnant space because of Ao Xing's return. What to do next? Ao Xing looked at Bibi Dong, Qian Daoliu and Qian Rongxiu and was in a dilemma for a moment. His time-stopping ability has a fixed range and cannot stop time for a specific target. This means that he cannot make Bibi Dong unable to move in the spiritual space and let Qian Rongxiu watch him humiliate her grandfather Qian Daoliu. Hiss. For a moment, Ao Xing was in trouble. He knew that with his current strength, he would never be able to defeat Douluo and Bibi Dong. After all, he can perform some operations on the targets within the time stop range, but he cannot launch attacks with the intention of causing harm, otherwise the time stop effect will be cancelled. How to do it? I put a gem in Rongxiu's body. The old fellow Douluo couldn't kill me with one strike, so he didn't dare to attack me. And Bibi Dong, this crazy woman, may have some feelings for Rongxiu, but as long as she can achieve a certain goal, she will definitely not care about Rongxiu's life or death. So, I should eliminate Bibi Dong's threat to me and ignore Douluo for the time being. Thinking of this, Ao Xing suddenly had a bold idea in his mind. He didn't care that Rongxiu's taming value had not yet reached 100% and could not transform into human form, and walked straight towards Bibi Dong. With a little force, the other party's Pope's robes turned into pieces. Afterwards, he went straight to Bibi Dong and started making puff desserts. About 2.5 hours later, Ao Xing put the weapon into his stomach bag, and then placed Bibi Dong behind a small reef not far from the Purple Pearl Island. Then, the time stop was released. Bang! Douluo only remembered that the evil dragon had detonated its jewel scales again. He went to protect Xiaoxiu from being hurt, but the next moment, he was hit by another heavy punch in the face. He fell heavily in front of Rongxiu. At the same time, Bibi Dong's face was full of surprise. She only remembered that she was still in the air the moment before, but why did she fall into the sea the next second? And it's still naked. Before she could think, the intense pain almost made her faint. Lewd dragon. Although Bibi Dong is an idiot, she is not mentally retarded. Combining her current situation and thinking about what happened before, she immediately realized that she was being tricked by the evil dragon. Humph! I was planning to tame you and use you as my mount. Now, I've changed my mind. Bibi Dong's eyes flashed with coldness. After I tame you and inherit the Rakshasa throne, I will definitely cut you into pieces. No, I can't let you die so easily. I will cut off your wings, chop off your limbs, and then go to the Star Do Great Forest to catch the Komodo Dragon King and other disgusting soul beasts to breed with you every day. Bibi Dong's expression became increasingly gloomy. But at this moment, Rongxiu's heart-wrenching cry came over. Bibi Dong! Where did you go? Hurry up and save Grandpa. If you don't help me, I won't have you as my mother. You and I will sever our mother-daughter relationship from now on. Bibi Dong heard the shrill screams clearly. However, she did not respond. That damn dragon just stopped its territory at the end and took away the soul guide where she hid her clothes. Chapter 49. Douluo turns evil, Rongxiu completely collapses. No matter how Rongxiu called out, Bibi Dong did not respond. For a time, the young master of the Spirit Hall, who had dared to lurk alone in the Tiandu Palace when he was less than 10 years old and had witnessed countless big scenes, burst into tears, sobbed and sobbed, the corners of his mouth trembled slightly, and he made a choked sob. She lowered her head, her eyes filled with endless sorrow, and stared blankly in the direction where Bibi Dong had been. There was a sad smile on his face, as if expressing the sadness in his heart. Rongxiu's hands kept shaking as she tried to wipe away the tears on her face, but she seemed unable to stop the tears from flowing. Her voice was hoarse, as if she had experienced endless suffering and torture, conveying the unspeakable pain deep in her heart. The mournful sobbing sound seemed like a cry of sorrow for loss, making people feel sad. Looking at Rongxiu, she seemed to be in endless sorrow, and a sad mood spread around her. Even the pirates couldn't help but be moved by her sadness. However, when Ao Xing saw this scene, there was an evil light flashing in his eyes, without any mercy. The corners of his mouth were full of sarcasm and contempt. An indescribable joy rose in his heart. Watching Rongxiu's collapse, Ao Xing couldn't wait to see more of her pain and despair. Then, a pair of vertical pupils revealed an evil joy, and the seemingly careless expression concealed a deep sense of satisfaction with Rongxiu's collapse. Ao Xing opened the system panel. The taming value is clearly displayed as 95/100, it's time to add fuel to the fire. Then, he raised his big foot and stepped on Douluo's head into the beach. Listen, old man. I can remove the restriction buried in Rongxiu's body and return her to you. But you have to help me do two things. Ao Xing didn't care that Douluo's head was still under his step and stuck in the sand, making it impossible for him to make any sound. Then he opened his mouth and said, the first thing to do is to send the head of Princess Shueke of the Tiandu Empire to me. You all know that I, Aosing, am a dragon who will avenge my enemies, so I want you to bring Douluo and Ghost Douluo, the two guys who want to use the bipolar forbidden field to plot against me, to me. Turn them into useless people. As long as you can do these two things, I will release Qianrongxiu. Pooh. Qian Daoliu pulled his head out of the sand in a panic and said, "Humph. I have always tolerated you and let you do what you want. Do you really think I am a fool? You are a dragon. Can you believe a word you say? Help me remove Xioxiu's restrictions. Otherwise, today, even if I risk my life, I will make you die here." After being humiliated by the evil dragon, Qian Daoliu finally figured it out. The other party just wanted to take advantage of his love for his granddaughter and do whatever they wanted. Use him as a tool for pleasure and humiliation. And his hundreds of years of experience allowed him to see the huge dragon castle and the golden sculptures that could be seen everywhere on the Purple Pearl Island. Qian Daoliu understood that this evil dragon was different from the soul beast. It had extremely greedy desires. Since the evil dragon understands human nature and uses his doting on Qianrongxiu to coerce him, why can't he use the evil dragon's desire for the world to counterattack the other party? In front of his granddaughter, Qian Daoliu was ravaged by the evil dragon and his old face was almost unable to bear it. Therefore, he took the risk and chose this extreme method. "Humph, you don't believe in this evil dragon? Just ask, am I, the evil dragon Aosing, a man of my word? I swear to the dragon god in the sky, as long as you do those two things well. Not only will I remove the restriction in Qianrongxiu's body, I will also return it to you intact." Aosing raised his dragon claw seriously and looked towards the sky with a solemn expression. Then, he added, "Of course, if you want to fight me to the point of losing, I don't mind. Anyway, I have plenty of ways to escape. But your granddaughter, that may not be the case. Besides, after I escape, I will hide somewhere in Douluo continent for 10, 20 years, or even longer. Wait until you reach adulthood, and then I'll return. Not only you, but also the Spirit Hall and your old lover Poseidon on Sea God Island, all must die." Old lover Poseidon? After hearing what the evil dragon Aosing said, Qian Daoliu was completely unable to hold back. He couldn't understand why a young evil dragon would know about this matter, which happened decades ago. And, most importantly, is Poseidon really his old lover? Didn't she choose that beast Tang Chen in the end? For a moment, Qian Daoliu's expression kept changing. Bibi Dong, who was hiding in the sea, had a gloomy face, but suddenly smiled brightly. It turns out that the girl from Sea God Island is Qian Daoliu's old lover? So, when she led the Spirit Hall to attack the Sea God Island decades ago, it actually embarrassed Qian Daoliu, laughed to death. However, Bibi Dong did not continue listening. Because the second condition that the evil dragon put forward to Qian Daoliu was that he should cripple both Douluo and Ghost Douluo in front of the evil dragon. You know, these two are Bibi Dong's right-hand men and left-hand men. She knew clearly that in Qian Daoliu's eyes, Qianrongxiu, who possessed the six-winged angel spirit, was infinitely more important than Douluo and Ghost Douluo. Even if the evil dragon is teasing Qian Daoliu, this old guy will most likely give it a try. Then, Bibi Dong released the vast sea universe cover that she had extorted from the royal family of the Tiandu Empire, and flew away quickly under the sea. "Okay, I promise you. Don't even think about running away with Xioxiu. I have locked onto her through my martial spirit. No matter where you take Xioxiu, I will be able to find her." Qian Daoliu looked at Aosing with gritted teeth, then looked at Qianrongxiu who was imprisoned by the evil dragon. A trace of pity flashed through his mind, and he summoned his angel spirit and flew away. "Hey hey!" Looking at Qian Daoliu's leaving figure, Aosing showed a sly smile of success on his face. Then, the restrictions on Qianrongxiu were lifted. "Brute! Brute! You beast!" After Qianrongxiu was able to speak, she rushed towards Aosing madly, and then beat him hard while cursing at him. However, Aosing watched all this with a smile. Because, at this moment in the system panel, Qianrongxiu's taming value was fluctuating rapidly. Obviously, she was struggling and anxious at the moment and was on the verge of complete collapse. And this is definitely the best time to completely tame it. Chapter 50, Wuhan City Farce. Qianrongxiu was stunned. Is the spine-tailed swift spirit the fastest spirit in Douluo continent? Maybe. However, if you were to ask who is the fastest flying soul master in Douluo continent right now, it must be Qian Daoliu. The Min clan, as one of the 4 major clans with a single attribute, pursues the limit of speed. However, the quality of the martial soul has determined that the possessor of the spine-tailed swift martial soul can rarely reach the level of titled Douluo. Therefore, even if the white crane could fly around the Douluo continent in 2 days. However, compared with Douluo, who has a level 99 angel spirit, his speed is still much inferior. This is simply because of the difference in strength and soul power. In less than half a day, Douluo left Tiandu city. Just when Emperor Shuiye was expecting the Spirit Hall to rescue Crown Prince Shui Qinghe from the clutches of the evil dragon, a beam of white light pierced through a certain part of the Tiandu Imperial Palace. As the violent explosion sounded, both Tiandu cities were shocked. Could it be that the evil dragon has come again? Hurry, hurry, that's the bunker where the princess is hiding. Hurry up and protect the princess. However, when Goran led hundreds of royal guards to the bunker, they were greeted by a headless corpse. It is not difficult to tell from the clothes that this headless corpse is Princess Shuike. Damned! Who did it? I. Puff. After hearing the news, Emperor Shuiye spat out a mouthful of blood. Then he fainted on the spot. According to the imperial physician's diagnosis, it was caused by excessive sadness, but also by anger. Based on Emperor Shuiye's physical condition, he may be diagnosed as. The imperial physician hinted with his eyes to Prince Shuixing, who was standing beside him. The younger brother of Emperor Shuiye instantly understood what the imperial physician meant. He was immediately delighted. Now the prince has been kidnapped by the evil dragon, Emperor Shuiye is in danger, and Princess Shuike has become a cold corpse. In this way, the throne of the Tiandu Empire will belong to Shuibeng, and many more. Prince Shuixing suddenly frowned. Does the Emperor Tiandu have to be from his brother's lineage? You know, in the eyes of outsiders, Shuibeng is now a completely dissolute and crazy, useless prince. And he, Prince Shuixing, is an important official in the court. On the other side, as soon as Bibi Dong arrived at Wuhan City, Douluo rushed to the place where Zhu Douluo and Ghost Douluo were recuperating, carrying Shuike's head. Douluo, what on earth do you want to do? What do I want to do? Douluo looked at Bibi Dong coldly and said, are these 2 outsiders more important than your daughter's life in your eyes? Since you believe the evil dragon's words. It's ridiculous, it's ridiculous. How could a guardian of the angel throne actually compromise with an evil dragon? Sure enough, like father, like son. None of you in the Qian family is a good person. Bibi Dong roared loudly with a smile on her face. Douluo frowned, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. Step aside. You can't beat me. Humph! Bibi Dong suddenly shouted, people from the Elders' Hall and other cardinals, come out and see. Look at what the great priest is going to do. Bibi Dong's shout instantly attracted all the Seoul Douluo and titled Douluo powerhouses on the Wuhan city floor. In the Elder Hall, many of the priests who were in seclusion were using their spiritual powers to spy on everything that was happening in the distance. In response to this, Douluo's expression changed. Immediately he said, as the chief priest, I order all of you to go outside Wuhan city. As the Pope, I command you all to stay where you are. For a moment, the other powerful men in the Spirit Hall didn't know what to do. However, most of the people moved towards Bibi Dong's back. Seeing this scene, Douluo also understood that now in the Spirit Hall, except for those priests in the Elder Hall, everyone else almost completely obeyed Bibi Dong's orders. There is no longer any fear for this former Spirit Hall's judging elder, now the Elder Hall's master and chief worshipper. Seeing this, he didn't waste any time and rushed directly into the room where Zhu Douluo and Ghost Douluo were recuperating. He used his powerful soul power to knock out the 2 vigilant people, and then rushed to the west. Bibi Dong, on the other hand, watched all this with gritted teeth. She couldn't catch up with Douluo's speed at all, and Zhu Douluo and Ghost Douluo were seriously injured and couldn't use the bipolar static field, otherwise they could have briefly controlled Douluo for a moment. She joined forces with other strong men from the Spirit Hall and was able to seriously injure him. The chief priest, for his own selfish interests, disregarded the overall situation and captured Chuigui and Douluo and offered them to the evil dragon. As the Pope of the Spirit Hall, I propose to abolish the Qian family's position in the Spirit Hall's Elder Hall. From now on, Golden Crocodile Douluo will be the chief worshipper. What do you think? Bibi Dong announced loudly above the Elders' Hall, using her soul power to cover her own voice. After hearing the news, the priests in the Elder Hall had different expressions. Golden Crocodile Douluo responded immediately. Bibi Dong, you woman, stop spreading lies and misleading people. The great priest is the great priest, no one can replace him. I advise you to take care of yourself and not slander us here. Humph! Bibi Dong sneered. She knew clearly how loyal the people in the Elder Hall were to Douluo. And her action just now was only to create a rift between Douluo and others. So that in the future, after she completes the 8th test of the Rakshasa God and her soul power reaches level 99, and starts the war against the two empires of Tiandu Empire and Xingluo Empire, she can override the 1000th Dao flow and some of the worshippers will be able to obey her orders. On the other side, Douluo spent another half day and arrived at the Purple Pearl Island at night. He threw Shuekei's head directly to the ground, and then threw the half-dead Jew Douluo and Ghost Douluo onto the beach. Let Shue'er go! Douluo still roared impatiently towards the dragon castle. Soon, Ao Xing took Rongxiu, who had a dazed expression, out of the castle which was covered with gold. So fast! Ao Xing was also a little surprised. He always thought that Douluo would not come back until tomorrow at the earliest. He did not expect that he would appear on Purple Pearl Island tonight. This efficiency is a bit too high. Rongxiu, who was standing beside her, had a dazed expression at first, but after seeing the familiar face on the ground, her pupils suddenly shrank and her body became shaky, as if she would fall to the ground in the next second. She didn't expect that her great and glorious grandfather would actually kill Shuekei and bring Jew Douluo and Ghost Douluo to Purple Pearl Island. Is this still the same Douluo? Chapter 51. Princess Taming completed. Transformed into a human, Shuekei, although she has no blood relationship with Rongxiu. But after lurking in the Tiandu Palace for more than 10 years, she is the person closest to Rongxiu. Because, after the death of the eldest prince and the third prince, Emperor Shueya felt a sense of crisis. He took up his gun again and went into battle, wanting to ensure the continuation of his Snow family's Swan dynasty. With the help of the imperial physician, he took various medicines and finally succeeded in sowing seeds. But what he didn't expect was that the 5th child born would actually be a daughter, but fortunately, after the eldest prince and the third prince died in accidents, the second prince Shueqinghe and the fourth prince Shuebeng did not encounter any accidents. He also doesn't need to work hard and intensively on the farm. When Shuekei was born, Rongxiu had just been pretending to be Shueqinghe for a year. During this year, she lived in fear in the Tiandu Palace, afraid that she would be exposed, and felt extremely insecure. The appearance of Shuekei gave Rongxiu a way to release the fear in her heart. After she finished her duties as the crown prince of the Tiandu Empire every day, she would accompany Shuekei and watch her grow up little by little. Rongxiu treated Shuekei as her own real sister and poured countless affection and care into her. In a blink of an eye, nearly 20 years have passed. But this sister who had been with him for nearly 20 years was killed by her own grandfather, whose head was chopped off and thrown casually on the beach. Rongxiu looked at the tragic scene in front of her, her eyes filled with pain that could not be described in words. Her eyes were fixed on the familiar face whose eyes had died with their eyes open, revealing a helpless and desperate look, like lightning that cuts through the darkness, shocking and frightening. Her ears were filled with suffocating silence, with only the sound of her own heartbeat echoing in her ears. Every breath seemed to carry endless sadness, the choked throat could not make any sound, only tears flowed silently. "Grandpa, why are you doing this?" The pain in Rongxiu's heart was like an invisible knife, piercing her heart fiercely, making it difficult for her to breathe and even more difficult to bear. Her thoughts wandered in sadness, recalling Shuekei's smile and warm embrace, which seemed to pierce the softest part of her heart like a knife. Helplessness and despair left her face covered with tears, and her wails continued to echo. Shuekei has lived with her for nearly 20 years, twice as long as the time she spent in Wuhan City during her childhood. "Shue'er, I'm doing this for you." Douluo's eyes were full of struggle. He knew very well that Shuekei was Rongxiu's best sister when she was lurking in the Tiandu Palace. He explained in a hoarse voice. "Although you are close to Shuekei, she is not your biological sister after all. The evil dragon has sworn an oath to the dragon god. As long as I complete those 2 tasks, you can follow Grandpa back to Wuhan City. I will help you start the trial. Then you will be able to quickly make up for the training you have missed over the years." Douluo glanced at Ao Xing silently, and deliberately spoke vaguely about the angel god. Ao Xing did not point it out directly, but urged Douluo impatiently, "Hurry up and kill the little daisy and the little devil." You can take Jian Rongxiu away now. No. Grandpa, don't do that. When Jian Rongxiu heard the evil dragon's words, she screamed heartbreakingly, trying to stop Jian Douluo. Although Zhu Douluo and Ghost Douluo have strange personalities, they loved Jian Rongxiu very much in Wuhan City when she was young. They were two of the best elders to him during her childhood. Shueke was killed by Jian Douluo himself, which made Jian Rongxiu heartbroken. Now, when she watched Grandpa Zhu and Grandpa Gui being killed by her own grandfather Jian Douluo, she suddenly felt as if the world was about to collapse. Please, let Grandpa Zhu and Grandpa Gui go. I'm willing to do anything you ask me to do. Don't let Grandpa kill them. Suddenly, Jian Rongxiu looked at Ao Xing, who had been watching the show, with hope in her eyes. She walked towards the dragon tremblingly and quickly, her tone full of pleading. Don't do this, please don't do this. A hint of satisfaction flashed in Ao Xing's eyes. Are you really willing to do anything? No. Little Snow. You don't have to ask the dragon for help. When Jian Douluo saw his granddaughter kneeling down in front of the evil dragon, he was unable to accept it. In his opinion, as Jian Rongxiu's grandfather, he is her closest person. However, Jian Rongxiu compromised and pleaded with the evil dragon for the sake of the two outsiders. Didn't she understand how much torture she had endured in her heart by doing things that were contrary to her ideas in order to save her from the evil dragon? Zioxiu, Grandpa does all this for you. Why do you ask the dragon for mercy? Could it be that Grandpa's position in your heart is not as important as that of outsiders like Shueke Yu Guan Gui Mei? For a moment, Jian Douluo felt endless sorrow in his heart. I am willing. I'm willing to do anything. Jian Rongxiu's tears, which had already dried up, once again flowed out from her eye sockets like two hot streams. At this moment, she felt broken all over. My grandfather, who has always been great, bright and righteous, did such evil things. Shueke, who was closest to him, was killed by him personally and her head was cut off. However, her mother, Bibi Dong, whom she still had a glimmer of hope for, left Purple Pearl Island when she needed help the most. Why is this happening? Almost 30 years have passed in Jian Rongxiu's life, but in the end, all she got was pain and sorrow. Taming value 95/100. Taming value 96/100. Taming value 97/100. Taming value 98/100. Taming value 99/100. Ao Xing stared at the system panel and found that Jian Rongxiu's taming value was constantly increasing. Only the last bit of taming value was needed to completely tame her. Perfect. Ao Xing looked at Jian Rongxiu who was crying while hugging his thigh, and said calmly. Can. Jian Douluo, you don't have to kill Zhu Douluo and Ghost Douluo. I promise Jian Rongxiu. However, before Ao Xing could finish his words, a fierce look flashed in Jian Douluo's eyes. He summoned the holy sword and stabbed it directly into the ghost's chest, then pulled it out and stabbed Yuegwen. The eyes of the two of them suddenly lost their color. Humph! I killed them and brought Shueke's head here. You have sworn an oath to the dragon god. Let Shuer go quickly. 100/100 taming value. While Jian Douluo was speaking, Ao Xing suddenly discovered that Jian Rongxiu's taming value had reached the highest. And the next second, the system's voice sounded in his ears. Growth Mission 2, Taming the Princess completed. Gain the ability to transform into a human, and can switch between dragon form and dragon man form freely. Chapter 52. The Dragon's Promise. Hehe, in my Ao Xing's eyes, what is the dragon god? I'm not like you, because my martial soul is an angel who believes in the angel god. I have never believed in the dragon god. Swear on it. Funny. Ao Xing suddenly smiled evilly, his eyes full of disdain. After hearing his words, Jian Douluo immediately understood that the evil dragon wanted to go back on his word, and he became furious. Because the evil dragon made a vow to the dragon god, he went against the justice in his heart and killed Shueke, Zhu Douluo and Ghost Douluo. But he didn't expect that the evil dragon would treat the oath as a joke. Don't you fear retribution for not respecting the gods? Not afraid. You. Jian Douluo shouted, you don't understand how terrifying God is. If you make a vow to God, you will be killed if you break it. I don't believe in the dragon god, so why should I be afraid of being killed by him? You are a dragon. The dragon god controls all dragons, even if you are an evil dragon. Hey? Who does dragon god think he is? In the future, I plan to ascend to the divine realm, kill the dragon god, and transform it into a golden dragon and a silver dragon. I treat the gold dragon as my mount and the silver dragon as my wife. Ao Xing kept talking nonsense, but Jian understood that he had been deceived by this shameless evil dragon in front of him. Really? As the book states, dragons are the most evil creatures in the world, there is no agreement with the dragon at all. Thinking of this, Jian eyes gradually became sinister. Since you lied to me and caused Zioxu to feel alienated from me, your grandfather, then. Time stop, start. Ao Xing noticed that Jian expression was not right, and there were signs of him turning evil. He simply froze this space. Oh, old thing. Ao Xing said disdainfully, do you really think you can kill me? Joke. Then, he said to the system, what does it look like after transforming into a human form? Can I pinch your face? Or transform into a human form according to what I have in mind? Please rest assured, host. The system's aesthetics are absolutely online. The host has no need to worry. Okay then. Ao Xing nodded, then let's try to transform into a human form. As Ao Xing gave the order, the system's voice sounded again. It may take a little longer to transform into a human form for the first time. After that, the host can automatically switch between human form and cage form with just a thought. A ray of light enveloped Ao Xing. His scales were like 1,000-faceted diamonds, sparkling brightly under the starlight, and every sparkle seemed to contain endless wisdom and mystery. With the strange fluctuations, the dragon's body gradually melted away, and the delicate dragon scales became thinner little by little, and finally turned into a faint halo. The cold gems wrapped around the evil dragon's body turned into warm skin. In this mysterious light, his crown swayed gently, like a blooming golden lotus, gradually condensing into human facial features. Soon, the facial features became concrete. His eyes are like stars, deep and bright, as if they can see through all the truths in the world. His eyebrows are like ink paintings and as straight as swords, revealing an extraordinary heroic spirit. He has a high nose bridge and a slightly raised corner of his lips, with an imperceptible smile, which makes him look both majestic and warm. His hair fell like a waterfall, each strand seemed to be illuminated by starlight, emitting a heart-warming silver glow. After the transformation was completed, Ao Xing had become an extraordinarily handsome man. He stood in the night, looking around, his calm eyes revealing the dignity and composure of a dragon. Qianrongxiu, who was standing by, was still frozen in the position of holding the dragon's leg. Seeing this, Ao Xing did not enter the battle state directly like he did with Bibi Dong before. Instead, the time stop was lifted. Who are you? Where's the dragon? Jian was about to launch an attack, but suddenly found that the evil dragon in front of him disappeared. Instead, there was a handsome man. Oh, old man, I am the evil dragon. What the hell? Jian was full of disbelief, what on earth is going on? He had never heard that a dragon could transform into a human form. For a moment, his worldview seemed to have suffered a great shock. Standing there in a daze, Qianrongxiu also looked at the man beside her with disbelief. Is he a dragon? How can that be? Since the taming value has reached 100/100, with the help of the system, Qianrongxiu has now completely stood on Ao Xing's side. After that, no matter what happened, he would always be loyal to Ao Xing and only obey Ao Xing's orders. After a brief moment of surprise, Qianrongxiu regained her composure. She knew that Jian had no way of defeating Ao Xing. She may live on Purple Pearl Island for a long time in the future. Compared to being with a dragon, she would naturally prefer the other person to be a man with perfect appearance. I say, old man, stop making a fuss and embarrassing yourself. There are still many things you don't know. Ao Xing said slowly, I know, the reason why you think so highly of Qianrongxiu is because his martial spirit is a six-winged angel, right? Now, Bibi Dong Rakshasa God's assessment has entered the final few rounds. Are you panicking? Are you afraid that she will directly settle accounts with you after she becomes a god? After all, if it weren't for your tacit approval, would Kyung Sunji dare to do that kind of thing in Wuhan City? Bibi Dong is a mad dog. If she becomes a god, you, Jian will definitely be the first person to be slaughtered by her. So, you have always wanted Qianrongxiu to start the angel god exam as soon as possible and inherit the angel godship. Am I right? Jian never thought that the evil dragon would know such a secret matter. However, he did not respond to Ao Xing's words immediately. Because Qian Rongxiu was standing next to Ao Xing at this moment. He didn't want her to know what happened in the past. Why can't it transform into a human? What is going on? What exactly do you want to do? Qian Daoliu opened his mouth and asked 3 fatal questions. Ao Xing showed an impatient look. Old man, don't change the subject. I have a way to stop Bibi Dong from becoming a god. If you don't want to be liquidated by her, then you have no choice but to cooperate with me. I'll tell you another secret. Bibi Dong got the Heaven Do Empire's national treasure, the vast sea universe cover. The true name of the vast ocean universe light is actually the heart of the sea god. Does this mean that she may have been recognized by the sea god? It's really interesting. If you choose to cooperate with me, I can not only guarantee Qian Rongxiu's safety, but also ensure that she becomes a god before Bibi Dong. Chapter 53, Killing with a Borrowed Knife, Qian Daoliu vs. Tang Chen. When Ao Xing pointed out his inner thoughts, Qian Daoliu's eyes flickered with uneasiness, and then they lowered their eyes, trying to avoid Qian Rongxiu's gaze. However, when he heard Ao Xing say that he had a way to make Qian Rongxiu a god, Qian Daoliu could not help but narrow his eyes and began to silently examine the evil dragon in front of him. As the heir of the angel Qian family, he knew that evil dragons and soul beasts were not the same kind of creatures. After a soul beast is killed, its soul ring will explode. Soul beasts that are over 100,000 years old will even have a 100% chance of exploding soul bones. But dragons are extremely disgusting creatures. Not to mention that its growth potential is stronger than that of the strongest soul beast. Even if you go to great lengths to kill it, it will not drop anything, just like a scavenger among fish. Some people may say that the evil dragon likes to collect gold, silver, and treasures. After killing it, you can take all these things for yourself and become one of the richest people in the world. But the problem is, if you have enough strength to kill a dragon, will you still be short of gold, silver, and treasures? Just wave your hand and there will be a lot of people rushing to flatter you. Humph, don't try to deceive me. There are only so many gods in the god realm, and even fewer gods have left their legacy in Douluo continent. And even if many of them have left their legacy in Douluo continent, they also have many harsh conditions. Letting Shuer inherit the angel throne is the fastest and safest way. Besides, the angel god is a first-class god in the god realm. Qian Daoliu said sternly, quickly release Shuer. I am not afraid of that woman Bibi Dong. She can't become a god while I'm here. Haha. Seeing Qian Daoliu so confident, Ao Xing couldn't help but laugh and asked back, Bibi Dong can't become a god. She has twin martial souls and is born with full soul power. If she wasn't undergoing the Rakshasa god's divine test and her strength was not restricted, she would have defeated you head-on long ago. Besides, Bibi Dong is not the only one in Douluo continent who has twin martial spirits with full innate spirit power. For example, the son of Tang Hao, who hates the spirit hall to the core, also has twin spirits with innate full spirit power. Humph. Qian Daoliu denied, I said that there aren't that many divine thrones in Douluo continent. No matter how outstanding Tang Hao's son is, he can never pose a threat to the spirit hall. Really? Ao Xing suddenly smiled, revealing his white teeth, as if he had heard a joke. Bibi Dong has the god of killing domain, you should know that, right? So what? If you want to obtain the god of killing's domain, you must go to the city of slaughter and clear the hell road. And the city of slaughter is actually the selection site for the successors of the Shura god. Obtaining the killing god domain means passing the Shura god's test. Some surprise finally showed on Qian Daoliu's face. He knew a lot of the information that Ao Xing had mentioned before. However, obtaining the killing god domain is one of the necessary conditions to become the successor of the Shura god. This is the first time he has heard of this. Are you trying to say that Bibi Dong is not only accepting the divine test of Rakshasa god, but has also won the favor of Sea god and Asura god? What a joke! One person can only inherit one godhood. Wrong. Ao Xing denied, when a person is good enough, even God will give in to him. Who says a person can only inherit one kind of godhood? Rules can be broken. Of course, I don't mean that Bibi Dong can still obtain the inheritance of the Sea god and the Asura god. I want to tell you that your old rival Tang Chen is also taking the Asura god's test. And, we have reached the 8th test. This is also the reason why his son Tang Hao and Bibi Dong, two people who are better than him, obtained the killing god domain but were unable to start the Shura god test. Tang Chen. When Qian Daoliu heard this name from Ao Xing's mouth, he froze instantly, his eyes widened as if they were about to jump out of their sockets. His breathing became rapid, his lips trembled slightly, and his hands clenched unconsciously. That old guy, is he not dead yet? There was a hint of anger, disappointment, and joy in Qian Daoliu's eyes. There are only a few soul masters of their generation still alive today. Only he and a few old fellows with the cultivation level of extreme Douluo are still alive. As for him and Tang Chen, not only did they belong to different forces and were somewhat incompatible, they also pursued the same woman when they were young, that was Poseidon. Although in the end, Poseidon did not end up with either of them. But Qian Daoliu knew that Poseidon preferred Tang Chen more than him. Therefore, when he heard the name, he became furious. Where is that old bastard Tang Chen? The city of slaughter. Ao Xing did not keep the secret and directly told Qian Daoliu where Tang Chen was. Humph! Boy, you are so cunning. Qian Daoliu did not expect that Ao Xing would tell him so decisively where Tang Chen was now. He immediately realized that the other party wanted him to fight Tang Chen to the death. What a good trick of killing someone with a borrowed knife. No, I just want you to eliminate the biggest threat to Spirit Hall. Ao Xing did not hide his cunning at all, and said frankly, now, Tang Chen is parasitized by the nine-headed blood-red Bat King, and his strength has greatly decreased. You can take this opportunity to get rid of him. Otherwise, if he really becomes a god, I think the Spirit Hall may cease to exist, and even your Qian family may be directly destroyed. I think you should know the temper of the Tang family. They are all vindictive and will even do things that violate ethics and morality for their own benefit. Anyway, I can't beat Tang Chen for now, so it's up to you whether you want to fight him or not. Ao Xing looked indifferent, while Qian Daoliu stroked his chin and began to think. Finally, he raised the sacred sword in his hand and said to Ao Xing viciously, if you dare to harm Shuer, I will definitely not forgive you. Don't worry, I won't hurt her. I just want him to give me a bunch of big fat little dragons. Qian Daoliu, who was about to turn around and leave, turned around angrily, but when he saw Qian Rongxiu's cold eyes towards him, his heart suddenly felt like it was being cut by a knife. He didn't expect that his precious granddaughter would go from wanting him to save her to somewhat hating him in such a short period of time. It's all the evil dragon's fault. Qian Daoliu knew that Ao Xing must have done something to Qian Rongxiu, which caused her to feel estranged from her grandfather. However, when he learned that Tang Chen was not dead and was still undergoing the divine test, he realized that snatching Qian Rongxiu back from the evil dragon was not a top priority at the moment. Killing Tang Chen is his top priority, because as Ao Xing said, once Tang Chen becomes a god, the Spirit Hall and even the Qian family will suffer a devastating disaster. Chapter 54, Bibi Dong follows her late at night, Qian Rongxiu and the humanoid dragon. Haha, that old thing. How is it possible to snatch Qian Rongxiu back from the evil dragon that has the power of time? Humph. In the Pope's palace, Bibi Dong was lying on the bed. She suddenly sensed Qian Daoliu's presence, and a hint of mockery and cruelty flashed across her brows. If she had not been at the critical moment of the Rakshasa God test, she would definitely have fought with Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo when Qian Daoliu captured them yesterday. However, thanks to this reason, she was able to take a further step in her control over the Spirit Hall. Qian Daoliu's behavior made the powerful people in the Spirit Hall who had become bishops or elders of the Spirit Hall when Qian Sunji was the Pope, and the veteran soul Douluo or titled Douluo of the Qian family, who were originally dissatisfied with Bibi Dong, gradually begin to move closer to him. After all, Qian Daoliu would capture Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo, the veteran titled Douluos of the Spirit Hall, and hand them over to the evil dragon for the sake of his granddaughter. It's really disheartening. There is no guarantee that one day they will not follow in the footsteps of Ju and Gui, the two Douluo. Pope Bibi Dong failed to rescue the two elders from Qian Daoliu. But this is also caused by the gap in strength. Few people know Bibi Dong's true strength. In their opinion, Bibi Dong is still young, and her strength will definitely reach Qian Daoliu's level in the future. Therefore, while the lives of Bibi Dong's right-hand men, Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo, are uncertain, they should join Bibi Dong. They will soon be able to become the Pope's new confidants and be entrusted with important tasks. What? Bibi Dong suddenly frowned, because Qian Daoliu left again just a few minutes after returning to the worship hall. Moreover, several old guys from the worship hall followed him out. However, the direction is not the west of the continent where the evil dragon is located, but the northeast. Sunset Forest. Bibi Dong thought about it in his mind, and the only special place he could think of was this one. However, there are no powerful beasts in the Sunset Forest. There's no need for Qian Daoliu to make such a big fuss. He himself is a titled Douluo of level 99, and he has to take several super Douluos with him. This shows that the target of what he wants to do is definitely very powerful. Where else are there strong people with Qian Daoliu's strength? Bibi Dong fell into deep thought. Soon, her expression changed. City of Killing. King of Slaughter. Definitely go to the City of Slaughter. Does he want to obtain the inheritance of the Shura god? That's not right. As the guardian of the guardian angel god, he can't possibly inherit other gods. What happened? Bibi Dong felt a little annoyed. He couldn't understand why Qian Daoliu would bring several priests to the City of Slaughter. No, I have to follow up and take a look. Bibi Dong expelled the gems from her body and changed into black clothes. This time, she did not carefully put away the 2 green beads as she did before. Ever since she was plotted against by the evil dragon in the time-stop field yesterday, the size of the billion orb is no longer suitable for her. In short, it is not as comfortable and worry-relieving as before. Oh! Bibi Dong shook her head. It seems that I have to go find some gems of suitable size in the next few days. Late at night. Purple Pearl Island, inside the Dragon Castle. This time, looking at Qian Rongxiu, Ao Xing did not activate the time-stop field. And the other party did not show any fear. Ao Xing knew that this was because his taming value for Qian Rongxiu had reached 100/100. In the other party's eyes, he has become a role similar to master. Red candles flickered and smoke rose. Tonight, Ao Xing also brought out the romance of a social animal in his previous life. Not only did he light candles and ambergris, he also placed many flowers from all over Douluo continent in the room that could not be seen on Purple Pearl Island. The silk curtains hang lightly. Qian Rongxiu looked at the handsome man who lifted the bed curtain, and her heart couldn't help but feel ripples. For some reason, the way she looked at the other person was shining with tenderness, deep and soft. Ao Xing slowly stroked Qian Rongxiu's well-defined jaw. The latter's throat trembled slightly, as if she wanted to say something, but she never opened her mouth. See. Ao Xing simply placed his strong hand gently on her head, and then slowly pressed it down. The next second, a humming sound was heard. Cough, 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 cough. Qian Rongxiu suddenly started coughing violently. Seeing this scene, Ao Xing couldn't help but shook his head. Although his size was reduced by almost half after changing from dragon form to human form, it was still much larger than that of an ordinary person. He was not surprised by Qian Rongxiu's reaction. So he decided to skip this step directly. Qian Rongxiu also clenched her teeth, closed her eyes, and cooperated very well. 3 poles in the sun. Ao Xing has already gotten up and is eating. When Tang Yuehua saw the evil dragon in human form, she couldn't help but be surprised, and at the same time, a little angry in her heart. He could obviously transform from an evil dragon into a human, but that day he used the dragon form to embarrass her. This guy is really not a human being, definitely intentional. However, Ao Xing didn't care about Tang Yuehua's little expression. According to the time, Qian Daoliu and Tang Chen should have started fighting, right? Hey hey! Not only was Tang Chen the old man parasitized by bats, he was also poisoned by his great-grandson. Even if Explosion Ring's fighting power is so strong, he will never be a match for Qian Daoliu. Besides, Qian Daoliu has a group of good brothers. Just as Ao Xing was thinking, Qian Rongxiu also slowly walked into the restaurant. Tang Yuehua keenly noticed the strangeness of the other party's steps, and her resentment grew even stronger. Qian Rongxiu, who had never experienced anything like that, could get out of bed after a good night's sleep, but she had to stay in bed for 3 days before she could move. This evil dragon is so bad. Oh! Tang Yuehua suddenly sighed, with a look of resentment in her eyes. I have to say that after the evil dragon transformed into human form, she looked really pretty, and her temperament was much better than her nephew Tang San. As an etiquette teacher, this is her favorite type. If able no, Tang Yuehua, what are you thinking about? He is an extremely evil dragon. Don't be fooled by his appearance. Tang Yuehua saw Qian Rongxiu sitting next to Ao Xing, pursed her lips slightly, then quickly left the restaurant and walked towards her bedroom. However, before entering the room, she suddenly stopped. From the gemstone mural that decorated the side, she quietly picked up a gem that was about the size of a shark egg, then walked into the room with a blushing face. On the other side, Ao Xing, who was about to chat with Jian Rongxiu, seemed to suddenly realize something and narrowed his eyes slightly. Interesting. Chapter 55. I, Ao Xing, also want to hunt souls. Ao Xing didn't expect that Tang Yuehua would choose to put a few gems on the mural as toys. Is it because the kitchen doesn't have eggplants, lotus roots, or anything like that? Gem. Is she trying to cosplay as a hen laying eggs? Ao Xing shook his head. This was a path he never imagined. Zioxiu, are you tired of staying on the island? Want to go out and play? Ao Xing looked at Jian Rongxiu, who was quickly eating the meal made by Tang Yuehua. She exercised for a long time last night, which was very exhausting, and she slept for more than 10 hours, so she was obviously starving. Where are we going? Jian Rongxiu asked with some confusion. Since the taming value reached 100, under the control of the system, she no longer had any hostility towards Ao Xing. Let's go to the Star Forest first, then try our luck in the far north, and finally go to the deep sea in the northwest before returning to Purple Pearl Island. These places are all soul beast forests. Jian Rongxiu couldn't help but exclaim. Soul beast forests in Douluo continent do not only refer to the Star Do Great Forest, Sunset Forest, and other soul beast forests on land. Any place where soul beasts gather in large numbers can be called a soul beast forest. Like the far north, or the deep sea. As a place where there are very few human soul masters, the number of soul beasts is even more astonishing. Furthermore, due to environmental reasons, the recycling attributes or categories that exist are extremely monotonous. Yes. I plan to kill a few soul beasts for fun. Ao Xing said lightly. Jian Rongxiu knew clearly that the soul beasts he mentioned were most likely ferocious beasts with a cultivation base of more than 10 years, after all, when Ao Xing was fighting Jian Daoliu, although she could control her life and death, which made Jian Daoliu feel fearful, the battle looked like a one-sided defeat by the evil dragon. But in fact, the strength of the evil dragon is definitely not as strong as Jian Daoliu, but it is not much different. It is definitely capable of dealing with ordinary ferocious beasts. The reason why Ao Xing planned to go to these places was because the system gave him a new task last night. Growth Mission 3, Advanced Devouring. Being able to unlock the mission Growth Mission 3 means that the host has entered a good state as a dragon and enjoys a certain degree of notoriety among humans. Now, you should develop the blue ocean of soul beasts and let them know that a vicious dragon has appeared on Douluo continent. As long as you kill or enslave 5 soul beasts over 100,000 years old, you can start the second advancement. The body becomes gorgeous, the scales change from single cobalt diamond scales to gemstone scales of various attributes, and ignore attacks below the limit Douluo. In the deep heart of the Star Forest, Star Lake lies quietly, and the surface of the lake is like a huge mirror, reflecting the brilliance of the sky. The afterglow of the setting sun falls on the lake, and the golden light and the lake water interweave into a moving picture. By the lake, the lush trees were dyed with warm tones by the golden light, and the shadows of the trees were swaying gently. However, such a beautiful environment is unusually quiet. Just because. This is where the 2 overlords of the Star Do Great Forest, the Titan Giant Ape and the Azure Bull Python, live, but at this moment, Ao Xing was flying towards the center of the Star Do Great Forest with Jian Rongxiu. That's right. The Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape were chosen by him as the first 2 targets of the newly accepted growth mission. Because, although these 2 guys are known as the overlords of the Star Do Great Forest, but their strength is actually the weakest among the 10-year soul beasts. This is why Ao Xing first chose them as his target for devouring and advancement. It's only been 2 days. Bibi Dong shouldn't start the soul hunting operation right away after returning to the Spirit Hall, right? Ao Xing thought silently in his heart. When he saw Bibi Dong a few days ago, he could clearly feel that her second spirit did not absorb the new 100,000-year spirit ring. For him, hunting a 100,000-year soul beast is not a difficult task. What is really difficult is finding a 100,000-year-old soul beast. Because, in the world view of Douyi, the number of 100,000-year soul beasts can be counted on one's fingers. Although many 100,000-year soul beasts suddenly appeared in Douluo too, Ao Xing could not guarantee that he could find their hiding places quickly. Therefore, whether he can devour or enslave the Titan Giant Ape and the Azure Bull Python is the key to whether he can quickly complete Growth Mission 3. If the Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape were hunted by Bibi Dong, it would be troublesome. There are definitely 3 sea soul beasts over 100,000 years old near Sea God Island. But apart from the evil killer whale king, the other two are not easy to deal with. Ao Sing couldn't help but frowned. In addition to the evil demon killer whale king, the other two soul beasts over 100,000 years old near the sea god island are the demon soul great white shark and the deep sea demon whale king. The former has a close relationship with Poseidon Island, and hunting it down will definitely bring disaster. The latter is the most powerful soul beast known in Douluo. The most important thing is that the deep sea demon whale king is sleeping on the bottom of the sea, and it is difficult for him to find any trace of him. Furthermore, even if they find the enemy, they may not be able to kill him due to their poor underwater skills. Unless find a way to make the deep sea demon whale king eat a lot of gems and then detonate it, kill it as easily as you destroyed the 7 treasures glazed tile sect. But obviously, this is not an easy task. Great! These two guys are still here. An expression of joy suddenly appeared on Ao Sing's face, while Qianrongxue beside him was slightly worried. Is it too dangerous? You don't need to be afraid, I'm here. After all, this is deep in the Star Do Great Forest, and the Titan Giant Ape and the Sky Blue Bull are the overlords. The Spirit Hall has hunted these two soul beasts more than once, but all ended in failure. Don't worry. Ao Sing said with a smile, the two of them will definitely die today. Wait for their soul bones to explode. Hiss. Ao Sing suddenly frowned, because he remembered that Qianrongxue had an angel suit of soul bones that could be absorbed. Hey, never mind. Anyway, let's kill these two guys first. Ao Sing quickly landed in front of Xingdu Lake. Humans, this is not the place for you. A hollow voice came from nowhere. After hearing this, Ao Sing shouted impatiently, the Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape, right? Isn't it just a snake and a little monkey? Come out now and die. If you know what's best for you, I can save you some physical pain. If you don't know what's best for you, then prepare to explode your soul rings and soul bones like that 10-year-old rabbit. Insanity. Following two loud noises, the calm lake and the ground suddenly began to shake. Chapter 56. Spread the news, I want Xiaowu to know. I don't want to waste my time talking to you. Either you serve as my mounts today, or I'll kill you. Ao Sing suddenly changed from human form to dragon form, looking down at the Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape with a majestic posture. Seeing this, the Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape all showed incredible expressions. Are you a human or a soul beast? 100,000-year-old soul beast can transform into human form. This is not just cold knowledge to them, but common sense. However, once you choose to transform into a human form, you must start practicing again and can no longer transform into a soul beast form. But when they saw the man in front of them suddenly changed from a human form into a somewhat strange soul beast, the Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape were all extremely confused. They really want to know how the other party did it. After all, living in the Soul Beast Forest, where all you do every day is eat, sleep, and practice, is really boring. If I could transform into a human form like Xiaowu and go to the human world to play occasionally, it would be a good way to kill time. However, looking at the other party's posture, it is obvious that there is no answer. As expected, Ao Sing shouted the next second, open your two dog eyes and take a look. I am an evil dragon. Evil dragon? How can there be such a small evil dragon? Fuck, a young dragon, understand? Don't think we have never seen an evil dragon. How could an evil dragon look for someone like you? The Azure Bull Python couldn't help but question. Once upon a time, humans and soul beasts had a brief alliance to fight against evil dragons. At that time, the Azure Bull Python's cultivation level was about 5 years. In its impression, the evil dragon was huge and looked several times more ferocious than this guy with a bull's head and a snake's body. The strange-looking soul beast in front of me actually claimed to be an evil dragon. Don't be too funny. What? A short-sighted fellow. Ao Sing was filled with endless anger. He spread his wings into the air, and the gems all over his body emitted a mysterious light under the setting sun. Then he charged directly towards the two soul beasts below. Seeing the other party suddenly attack, the Sky Blue Bull Python leaped up, and its huge body crashed into the evil dragon like a mountain and sea, spewing water from its mouth. Simultaneously, the Titan Ape swung its giant palm, trying to hammer the evil dragon violently. As the giant palm swung, it was so powerful that the air made bursts of exploding sounds. Faced with this situation, Ao Sing shook his head and murmured. Too slow. If this is all you have, then be prepared to die today." As soon as he finished speaking, his figure turned into a flash of lightning, shuttling between the two at lightning speed, and dragon flames continued to spit out of his mouth. "Oh, azure bull python. It's both an ox and a python, and it's said to have some azure dragon blood. If this isn't a bastard, what is it?" Hearing the evil dragon's ridicule, the azure bull python's lantern-sized eyes seemed to spew out flames of anger. The next second, it swung its giant python tail, and a sharp green gust of wind rushed towards Ao Sing with the force of thunder. However, Ao Sing was like pulling onions out of dry land. He was originally flying horizontally, but suddenly he rose vertically toward the sky. He easily avoided the seemingly powerful attack of the azure bull python. And those strong winds blew down all the tall trees hundreds of meters ahead. On the other side, the Titan ape's attack also failed. He was very unwilling to give in, and with amazing strength, he swung his fists violently, shaking the entire earth, venting his dissatisfaction. However, the next moment, Ao Sing's dragon roar resounded through the sky. There was a sparkling light on him. Countless brilliant cobalt diamond scales shot toward the ground as fast as a rain of pear blossoms. The thick skin of the azure bull python and the Titan ape could not block these extremely sharp scales at all. They easily cut through the defenses of the two and embedded themselves deeply into their flesh. The azure bull python spewed out thunder and attacked the evil dragon with endless power. The Titan ape roared, and its body exuded a huge aura, showing a terrifying oppressive force. The three fought fiercely in the air, with flames, strong winds, and thunder intertwined, and a fierce fight broke out around the Star Lake. Sometimes it roared like thunder, sometimes it howled like strong wind, the whole battlefield was filled with strong force. The battle between Ao Sing, the azure bull python and the Titan giant ape was as powerful as that of thousands of troops. The soul beasts in the central area, sensing this fluctuation, did not come to watch the fun, but instead all fled towards the outskirts of the Douluo Great Forest. When the masters fight, the kid suffers. If the battlefield between the azure bull python and the Titan giant ape were to be moved, they would be the ones to suffer. So, it's never a bad idea to leave as early as possible. Of course, due to the beast tide caused by the battle between the two overlords and the evil dragon, all the soul masters who were hunting soul rings in the Douluo Great Forest suffered. Be it Shrek Academy, the several elemental academies, the Elephant Armor Sect, or the beast hunting team led by the Bishop of the Spirit Hall, all suffered heavy losses. Qianrongxiu, on the other hand, was not far from the core area, quietly watching Ao Sing fighting with the azure bull python and the Titan giant ape. She could clearly notice from the battle that the attacks of the two overlords seemed powerful and impressive, but because their flexibility was far inferior to that of the evil dragon, they had no way of hitting each other. Ao Sing seemed to be dodging attacks from both sides, but he was always the one taking the initiative to attack. It's so refreshing. After fighting for about 10 minutes, Ao Sing flew into the sky again. I'm starting to sweat. It's time to end the battle. The next second, the gems that shot into the bodies of the azure bull and Titan giant ape burst into dazzling light. The roar exploded. A violent explosion accompanied by strong light occurred near Xingdu Lake. For a moment, blood mist filled the air and bones and flesh flew everywhere. Qianrongxiu couldn't help but widen her eyes when she saw this scene. She knew that the evil dragon had this method, but she didn't expect it to be so powerful. Even 200,000-year-old soul beasts could not withstand the explosion of the gem scales. Zioxiu, put the 2 soul bones into the soul guide. Then you can pick any spirit ring to absorb. Don't worry about not being able to bear it. I have a way to help you. There are no soul beasts nearby. After sensing it, Ao Sing said, I'll be away for a while and will be back soon. After saying that, Ao Sing disappeared on the spot. Qianrongxiu was staring at the 2 blood-red soul rings in front of her in a daze. The evil dragon made my 7th soul ring absorb. This is really crazy. On the other side, Ao Sing found the besieged human soul masters outside the central area. With just a roar, it scared away the mad soul beasts that were rushing out. Evil dragon. It's actually an evil dragon. No wonder there is a beast tide. Ruined. The evil dragon's various behaviors and appearance have spread throughout the Douluo continent because he kidnapped the princess and prince of the Tiandu Empire. Therefore, after seeing Ao Sing, the soul masters screamed in fear. The female soul master almost fainted when she saw the huge phantom dragon. What are you yelling about here? If you want to live, listen to me. After you leave the Douluo Great Forest, spread the news that the Azure Ox and the Titan Giant Ape were killed by the evil dragon. The wider the spread, the better. There was a gleam of evil in Ao Xing's eyes. He did not do this to publicize his own evil reputation, but wanted Xiao Wu to hear the news. After all, if a 100,000-year-old rabbit has transformed into a human form, it cannot be considered a 100,000-year-old soul beast, right? She can explode soul rings and soul bones. Chapter 57. Tang Chen's death, Bibi Dong's ambition. Ao Xing stood in the distance and observed. As expected, Qian Rongxiu's process of absorbing the spirit ring was not smooth. Her golden hair flowed like a waterfall, and there was a barely perceptible pain locked between her brows. The eyes, which were originally lavender and seemed to be able to swallow the stars, now flashed with resistance and struggle. 100,000-year soul ring, for her who only has the strength of a soul saint, it is really too much. As the energy of the soul ring gradually merged into her body, her face distorted. It felt like countless tiny needles were moving around in the body, pricking every inch of muscle and blood vessels. My breathing became rapid and heavy, as if my lungs were being squeezed hard with each breath. Her fingers unconsciously clenched into fists, her fingertips turned white, as if she was resisting the severe pain from the depths of her soul. His arms trembled slightly, as if he wanted to grab something for support, but he found that there was nothing around him. Although her expression was full of pain, her gaze remained firm, and her deep eyes revealed an unyielding light. But even if she had great willpower, the energy contained in the 100,000-year spirit ring was still too powerful, and Qian Rongxiu's body simply could not bear it. When Ao Xing saw this scene, he did not help, but waited slowly on the side. It was not until Qian Rongxiu's originally fair skin turned red that he started to stop time. Afterwards, he used dragon breath to suppress the energy of the soul ring that was being absorbed by Qian Rongxiu's body. Place a bunch of gems on the side. In this stagnant space, the light on these gems gradually dimmed, and Ao Xing directly peeled off the colorful energy from them. They gathered into a small bright strip like flowing water, slowly pouring into Qian Rongxiu's body, helping Qian Rongxiu repair the damage caused by the violent energy of the spirit ring. This was not a difficult task for Ao Xing and the process was quick. Qian Rongxiu's condition immediately returned to its best. Ao Xing randomly released the time stop. Qian Rongxiu continued to absorb the spirit ring, and when she could no longer withstand the powerful energy of the spirit ring, Ao Xing repeated the action again. The sun rises and the moon sets. Time keeps passing. With Ao Xing's help, Qian Rongxiu finally spent 5 full days to successfully absorb the 100,000-year soul ring. Hey, I should have fooled the Titan Ape or the Azure Bull Python at that time. I will threaten them to sacrifice their spirit ring to Qian Rongxiu. If they don't agree, I will kill them and make Xiao Wu into a braised rabbit. Hey, I hope Xiao Wu has already known that I killed the Titan Ape and the Azure Bull Python. Ao Xing felt quite helpless. Ever since he traveled to Douluo continent, he had been thinking about killing Tang San once and for all. But for some reason, the little punk has good luck. Every time Ao Xing robbed someone and wanted to get rid of him, he managed to dodge it by chance. Even after arriving at the Purple Pearl Island, Ao Xing was still intent on looking for Tang San's trace. But his whereabouts have not been found. This made him wonder if someone in the divine world was helping him. After all, those two bastards, Sea God and Azure God, have interfered with Douluo continent many times. So, Ao Xing simply changed his thinking. If he couldn't find Tang San, he would use other methods to lure him out. Now that the Blue Bull Mang and the Titan Giant Ape were killed by herself, Xiao Wu would definitely be heartbroken after getting this news. With Tang San's character, he would definitely think about revenge for Xiao Wu. Shrek and his crew will also rush to Poseidon Island as soon as possible to improve their strength. No more stopping on the road and wasting time. Although Ao Xing has not been to Poseidon Island yet, since he has built Purple Pearl Island into his base, it is impossible for the Shrek 7 Devils to go to Poseidon Island without anyone noticing. Otherwise, he would definitely know the news. After all, before he left, he had specifically told Ziai Zhenzu and others to pay attention to people with conspicuous features such as evil eyes, childlike faces, young men with blue hair, and girls with ponytails. In front of the tavern leading to the city of Killing, a place full of evil and sin, several old men in white robes entered quietly. The disguised bartender and waiter noticed something was wrong. But before they could make a move, the priests of the spirit hall used mental attacks to kill them all. Afterwards, Golden Crocodile Douluo used his powerful soul power to blast open the secret passage leading to the City of Slaughter. No one in the City of Slaughter knew what was happening on Earth. Just because there are not many fallen in the City of Slaughter now. After Tang San cast the Snow Swan Kiss, the poison hidden in the yellow spring dew was quickly activated, and those fallen ones with lower cultivation bases were all killed. At this moment, there are no other living people in the City of Slaughter except for some strong guards and the King of Slaughter Tang Chen. After Qian Daoliu and others passed through the passage and arrived at the City of Slaughter, a fishy smell hit their noses, making them frown in disgust. However, before they could find the source of the smell and observe the situation in the City of Slaughter, a scarlet figure attacked from a distance. Die! You all have to die! Anyone who enters the City of Slaughter will die! The deep and sharp voice startled the worshippers. Just as they were preparing, they saw a tall man wearing a blood-red robe and wrapped in a huge scarlet cloak with a stand-up collar coming towards them. In this guy's hand, he was holding a small black hammer. Tang Chen. Qian Daoliu's eyes lit up with joy when he saw the clear sky hammer. The King of Killing was also stunned after hearing Qian Daoliu's voice. A hint of clarity appeared in his fanatical eyes. However, when he saw that there were several powerful worshippers beside Qian Daoliu, he was immediately filled with bloodthirsty rage. The City of Slaughter is finished. Ha 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 ha. You will be the last group of people to enter the Slaughter City and be buried with the Slaughter City. Tang Chen's whole body was exposed, revealing his pale skin and the sword-shaped magic pattern on his forehead. At the same time, a pair of blood-red wings slowly spread outwards, and their shape was quite similar to that of a dragon. Seeing this scene, Qian Daoliu didn't say much even though the other party was an old acquaintance of his. He knew that today was a life and death battle. Then, he led several priests to fight with Tang Chen. On the ground above the City of Slaughter, Bibi Dong mainly opened the domain of the God of Killing and used her mental power to sense the movements below. Haha, King of Killing, let me lend you a hand. A hint of gloating flashed in Bibi Dong's eyes. Her Killing God domain is naturally not as good as the Killing domain unique to Tang Chen, the King of Killing. But, precisely for this reason, after she opened it in secret, as long as she locked onto other priests except Qian Daoliu would not be able to detect it due to the interference of the killing field. Let's hit. The more intense the fight, the better. It's better for both sides to lose, or die here. Due to the influence of the Snow Swan's kiss, Tang Chen's strength was greatly weakened. If he had not been in the City of Slaughter, he would not even be able to fight against Qian Daoliu and his younger brothers. But fortunately, the effect of the killing field is extremely abnormal. Within the range of the domain, all soul skills performed by the enemy are invalid, including the skills of soul bones. This means that Qian Daoliu and others can only use their own martial spirits and soul power to fight Tang Chen in close combat, while the other party can use various soul skills and soul bones. In addition, because of Bibi Dong's silent interference in the dark, Qian Daoliu and others were still unable to defeat the dying Tang Chen in a short time. However, Qian Daoliu also discovered during the battle that Tang Chen seemed to have been poisoned. The bloodthirsty battle can allow its toxicity to continue to erode Tang Chen. Therefore, even though his younger brother Zhang Mo Douluo died in battle, he still did not give up his determination to kill Tang Chen. In the end, the two sides fought for 2 days and 2 nights. Qian Daoliu killed Tang Chen, whose soul ring was exploding, at the cost of the deaths of subduing Demon Douluo, Qianjun Douluo and Qingluan Douluo. Before this, Bibi Dong had quietly returned to the Spirit Hall. Pass the order down, the former Pope's token is invalid. 3 months later, a continent-wide sect conference will be held to redetermine the rankings of the top 3 sects and the bottom 4 sections. Also, the Spirit Hall is inviting talents. If there are titled Douluo masters who are hermits and can join the Spirit Hall, I, Bibi Dong, as the Pope, will definitely treat them with courtesy. And I will also give them excellent quality spirit bones as gifts. Bibi Dong issued several orders at the first moment. There were a total of 6 patterns on the papal decrees in the past. They are the Clear Sky Hammer, the direct martial soul of the Clear Sky sect, the 7 Killing Sword, the martial soul of Sword Douluo Genexin in the 7 Treasures Glazed, the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex, the martial souls of Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo, and the Angel martial soul symbolizing the inheritance of the Spirit Hall, represented by the crown. But now, the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect has been destroyed. Although Sword Douluo Chen Xin has luckily escaped because he was not in the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile, he is no different from a stray dog on the roadside. Without Ning Fengzi's support, even if he is a level 96 titled Douluo with the strongest offensive weapon spirit, he is not a threat to the Spirit Hall. And Tang Chen, the previous and current leader of Haoshan sect, the peerless strong man who created the Chaos Cloak Hammer technique and the explosive ring skill and brought Haoshan sect to the throne of the number 1 sect in the entire continent, is about to be killed by Qian Daoliu and others. Even though the Haoshan sect still has several powerful titled Douluo, they are no longer a threat to the Spirit Hall. After all, the person that the Spirit Hall is really afraid of is Tang Chen, not Tang Xiao, and certainly not Tang Hao, the peerless genius who is the youngest person in the entire continent to enter the titled Douluo realm. Now that it is confirmed that Tang Chen is doomed, Bibi Dong's ambition grows even more. The Rakshasa god once sent her a message, telling her that as long as she could tame the evil dragon, she could be exempted from the 8th and 9th tests and inherit the throne of the Rakshasa god. However, after a trip to Purple Pearl Island a few days ago, Bibi Dong discovered that this evil dragon actually had the ability to pause time within a certain range. This made her realize that taming it might be more difficult than the 8th and 9th tests of the Rakshasa god. Therefore, she plans to do both. While continuing to look for a way to tame the evil dragon, he is also preparing to embark on a path of unifying the entire continent through sacrifice to become a god. Your Holiness, it is not a good idea to change the papal decree. After all, although the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect was wiped out, the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect's little princess and sword Douluo Chen Xin are still here, and there are also many direct disciples of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect who escaped this disaster. Humph. Then send out a hunting team to find these direct disciples of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile who are wandering outside and wipe them out completely. Bibi Dong said expressionlessly, of course, if there is someone who knows the current situation and can join our Wuhan Hall, it would be the best. I can let him become the new leader of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect. After all the direct martial spirits in the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda are from the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda. Why must the sect leader be the offspring of Ning Fengzi? After hearing Bibi Dong's words, the bishop who received the order nodded repeatedly and then left the Pope's palace. As night falls, hunting teams led by Seoul Douluo level warriors secretly leave Wuhan City and head towards various places in Douluo continent. Bibi Dong's eyes revealed excitement and joy. She lay in bed, unable to fall asleep for a long time. Qian Daoliu led the priests to attack and kill Tang Chen, but in the end 3 of them were replaced by the other side. The original 7 great priests directly became 4 great priests. Putting aside Qian Daoliu, the strength of the worship hall was actually weakened by half. As for her subordinates, Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo were kidnapped by Qian Daoliu and brought to the evil dragon, and their lives or deaths are unknown. However, with the death of Tang Chen and the destruction of the 7 Treasures Glaze, she can finally start her own unification plan. By then, many sects on Douluo continent will directly join the Spirit Hall. As the Pope, she already has several titled Douluo under her command. As long as she can re-elect the top 3 sects, her prestige in Douluo continent will be further enhanced. At that time, the Spirit Hall can be directly changed to the Spirit Empire. The influence of the Thousand Angels lineage on the Spirit Hall will also be directly stripped away. She was no longer Pope, but Empress. By the way, it seems that the Tiandu Empire is also going to be in civil strife, right? When the Tiandu Empire becomes chaotic, the unification plan can begin. Haha, it seems I have to thank the evil dragon for this. A figure suddenly appeared in Bibi Dong's mind. Then, a blush flashed across her face. She crushed the 2 still warm jade beads with her soul power and threw them out of the window, with a look of loneliness in her eyes. I don't feel anything about these 2 gems. It's all because of that damn dragon. If it were her. Wait, Shweta is in the hands of the dragon, she won't. A strange picture suddenly appeared in Bibi Dong's mind. After being stunned for a moment, she quickly shook her head. Why would I have such an idea? If she wants to follow the dragon, then she can follow the dragon. My goal now is to finish the divine exam as quickly as possible. The moon is so round tonight, will Shweta and the dragon. For some reason, Bibi Dong's thoughts went astray again. And in fact, her guess was correct. But Ao Seeing is in human form. Chapter 58, the immortal item is gone, but you have the crystal blood dragon ginseng. Zioxu, what level are you at? Ao Seeing found that the soul power fluctuations around Qianrongxiu gradually became stable, and the blood-red 100,000-year soul ring no longer struggled and shook, so he knew that she should have completely absorbed the soul ring. Level 77. Qianrongxiu slowly opened her eyes, her temperament became sharper, and her whole body shone with a holy light. Level 77. Next time I'll upgrade to level 7, Ao Xing was very surprised, but when he thought that Jianrongxiu had been stuck in the Soul Emperor realm for a long time and had absorbed 10 soul rings, he found it reasonable. Zioxiu, let me take you to find a place to consolidate your cultivation. So you are accumulating strength over time, but the speed at which your spirit power is increasing is a bit too fast, which may easily lead to an unstable foundation. Faced with Ao Xing's proposal, Jianrongxiu nodded obediently in agreement. And Ao Xing also began to think about where to take Jianrongxiu to recuperate. Zioxiu, does your soul bone ability allow you to imitate others at will? No, only those who have seen it and whose aura is similar to mine can imitate it. Jianrongxiu replied, Shuekinghe's martial soul is the swan martial soul, which has many similarities with the angel martial soul, so I can imitate him without revealing any flaws. You don't need to reveal any flaws. As long as others can't detect your true appearance, that's enough. That's no problem. As long as the opponent is not as strong as Bibi Dong and Yeqian Daoliu, there is no way to see through my martial arts disguise. Jianrongxiu said. Then you should change your appearance temporarily. Ao Xing explained slowly, you may not return to Purple Pearl Island for a long time recently. You are both the young master of the Spirit Hall and the crown prince of the Heaven Do Empire, Shuekinghe. Jian Chenexin and Dugubo are both still alive. It would not be good if you were recognized by them. Okay. Jianrongxiu nodded, and then a soft light began to emanate from her body. After a few seconds, she turned into a girl with the same blonde hair, but with completely different outlines and facial features. Be more mature. Seeing that Jianrongxiu looked only 14 or 15 years old, but her height was almost 1.8 meters, Ao Xing couldn't help but shake his head. He doesn't like long-legged loli. Okay. Jianrongxiu used the power of her soul bone again. Okay, let's go back to Tiandu city first, and then go to Fasno province. When your soul power breaks through to level 80, I will take you to the far north to try your luck and see if there are any soul beasts over 10 years old. Ah! Jianrongxiu was a little surprised. Didn't you stop me from practicing before? Why are you suddenly thinking about helping me improve my strength? The situation is changing. Ao Xing said meaningfully. Although up to now, he has not had any direct contact with the main characters of the Shrek 7 Devils. However, he could feel from all aspects that the timeline began to change dramatically because of its appearance. Those guys in the God realm might have already noticed that he was the troublemaker. When the vast sea universe cover, Heart of Poseidon, inexplicably appeared in Bibi Dong's hands, Ao Xing had a premonition that Poseidon was likely to become restless and start interfering in Douluo continent. And his intervention is bound to attract the attention of the Rakshasa god. After all, Bibi Dong and Tang San are destined to be on opposite sides. And Ao Xing informed Jian Daoliu of Tang Chen's whereabouts a few days ago. If nothing unexpected happens, Tang Chen, who is infected with parasites and is severely poisoned, is unlikely to be a match for Jian Daoliu. Once Tang Chen dies, then the Azura god will definitely start looking for a new successor to the throne. At that time, the various main and branch lines in the original Douluo continent will become a mess. Even if he knew the thoughts and personalities of various forces, and speculated on certain possible situations based on the original main and branch lines, there would still be relatively large deviations. In order to avoid accidents, Ao Xing naturally had to help Jianrongxiu, who had already been tamed by him, to quickly improve her strength. How long will it take you to reach the Soul Douluo realm? To be conservative, about a year. Jianrongxiu said after doing it for a while. After all, we need to consolidate our previous state. Hearing this, Ao Xing couldn't help but frowned. It's too long, although, he knew that even if Tang San was chosen as the successor by the Sea God or the Azura God, it would take 3 to 5 years to complete the divine test. However, this woman Bibi Dong has already entered the final few tests of the Rakshasa God test. If the plot were to reverse and Bibi Dong became a god earlier, then he would be in danger, because, from the battles in the Star Do Great Forest with Bibi Dong, Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo, he could clearly perceive that Bibi Dong must know that her dragon horn was her weakness. Therefore, even if he hunted or enslaved 5 soul beasts and completed the second advancement, he might not be a match for the opponent. Therefore, he must improve Jianrongxiu's strength. It seems that we need to think of more solutions. From level 77 to the Soul Douluo realm, there are only 3 small levels, but as the soul power increases, these 3 levels are likely to be several times more difficult than the previous 10 levels. The 1 year that Jianrongxiu mentioned just now was a conservative estimate, but even if her martial soul was a god-level martial soul, it would take at least half a year to practice steadily to break through to the soul Douluo level. So, we must rely on external forces. Alas, it's a pity that she can't absorb soul bones. Jianrongxiu has absorbed several soul bones from the angel suit. Therefore, continuing to absorb the remaining soul bones in the angel set is naturally the best choice. However, once she absorbs the next soul bone, she must return to Wuhan City. According to Jian Daoliu's personality, she will definitely let him start to take the test of the angel god. Therefore, the method of absorbing soul bones to increase soul power can only be put on hold for the time being. It seems that we can only look for some natural treasures. The things near the ice and fire yin-yang spring should have been ruined by Tang San. Now the only things left are the acacia heartbroken red and the fragrant Douluo immortal products. The former has been picked by Xiao Wu, so there is only the latter. Although the effect of the Yuxiang Douluo immortal product is to be immune to all poisons, as an immortal product, it should at least help improve your cultivation after taking it, right? Even if that doesn't work, at least I can gain some resistance to poison. Besides, although Xiao Wu did not sacrifice herself because of my appearance, but in order to subdue the Po Yi clan, Tang San is very likely to give the Yuxiang Luo immortal product to Yang Wudi. Tang San can wander around the world, but the 4 single attribute families like the Po Yi clan and the Min Yi clan can't. I remember that fellow Bai he seemed to have a crystal blood dragon ginseng. This thing is a great tonic. Hee. Ao Xing had a goal in mind. Chapter 59. Planting a nail next to Tang San. That night, Tiandu City was unusually quiet. This is obviously an extremely unreasonable phenomenon. Even though Douluo continent is still in an agricultural feudal society and has not entered the industrial stage. However, Tiandu City, as the capital of the Tiandu Empire, has a population of millions. No matter what, it is impossible to be dead silent at night, but the fact is that there are very few pedestrians on the huge street. Only occasionally a team of guards appeared. The reason for this situation is that Tiandu City has been visited by evil dragons for several consecutive times, and not long ago, the Tiandu Palace was attacked by an unknown strong man, Princess Shueke, who was previously abducted by an evil dragon and the royal family paid a huge price to get her back, was kidnapped again by that powerful man with omnipotent strength. Emperor Shueye became seriously ill because of this incident and it seemed that he would not be able to hold on for long. And undercurrents began to surge in the court. In order to ensure the order of Tiandu City, the Tiandu royal family ordered a curfew to be implemented after nightfall, prohibiting outsiders from walking around in Tiandu City. As for soul masters of distinguished status, they are naturally not within the scope of the restrictions, but no more than 5 people can travel together at a time, just to avoid them causing chaos. Of course, nowadays there are very few soul masters who are willing to wander around Tiandu City at night. After all, you never know when the evil dragon or that peerless strong man will appear again. It would be bad if innocent people were implicated. Oh no, there is a place in Tiandu City that is particularly lively tonight. The residence of the Power Clan, the mansion was brightly lit, bustling with people and filled with laughter. People were talking loudly or clinking their glasses, their faces filled with joy. The aroma of delicious food is everywhere, and the special dishes are even more mouth-watering. Today is the day when the 3 single attribute families, the Min family, the Po family, and the Yu family, moved to Tiandu City. In order to fight against the Spirit Hall, Tang San decided to establish his own sect. With the help of Titan from the Lichi clan, he participated in a gathering of the 4 major clans with single attributes held by the Yu clan before setting off to Zhengzhen City to find the master craftsman Lu Gao. Tang San used various means to make the other 3 single attribute clans realize that he, the son of destiny, had a bright future, and persuaded them to join the Tang sect he founded. It is for this reason that the 4 single attribute families will hold a gathering today. It's really interesting. Ao Xing landed from the sky in front of the door of the Li clan's mansion. Listening to the loud shouts in the house, he couldn't help but smile. Who are you? Little Karami in front of the door asked vigilantly when he saw Ao Xing and Qianrongxiu suddenly appear. Because Ao Xing and Qianrongxiu have extraordinary temperaments, and the 2 soul master level little Karami guarding the gate cannot see through their strength. Therefore, the 2 spoke in a more respectful tone. After all, this is Tiandu City no matter what. I want to see Yang Wudi, the leader of the Poi clan. Let him come out for a moment. Yet, little Karami thought for a while, and did not deliberately embarrass the two people in front of the door, so he went straight to report the news. Not long after, a man with black hair, ruddy complexion but a somewhat gloomy expression came out. He has a signature white goatee beard. I wonder who you two are. I don't think Yang knows you two. Yang Wudi looked at the man and woman in front of him, feeling confused. He originally thought that some of his former friends had received the news that the Poi clan had moved to Tiandu City and came to congratulate them. But he didn't expect that they would be two young people he didn't know. This made Yang Wumi very surprised. Yang Wudi, you don't need to know who I am. Ao Xing didn't waste any words and directly stated his purpose. The fragrant Douluo fairy product that Tang San stole from my back garden should be with you, right? Hand it over if you know what's good for you, or don't blame me for being rude. The fairy product Yuxiang Douluo is indeed with me. Hearing the man directly asking for his life force, Yang Wudi's eyes instantly became full of hostility, and at the same time, he was filled with endless anger. However, like the two little Karamis who opened the door, he did not act rashly. After all, this is Tiandu City. Although he is stubborn, he is not stupid. The man and woman in front of me have extraordinary demeanor and it is obvious that they are not from ordinary families. But may I ask, how do you prove that the Yuxiang Douluo immortal product is yours? That's easy. Come with me out of the city. Ao Xing directly activated the time stop function, then put his arm around Jian Rongxiu's waist with one hand, held Yang Wudi's clothes with the other hand, and flew out of Tiandu City. The stagnant space is released. After Yang Wudi finished speaking, he was about to show his soul ring to shock the two ignorant young men in front of him, but suddenly he found that the scenery had changed. This is outside Tiandu City. Yang Wudi looked around in disbelief, and then his expression changed drastically. And Ao Xing said directly, you are no match for me. Hand over the immortal item obediently, and don't resist fearlessly. Impossible. Yang Wudi knew clearly in his heart that the person who could bring him out of Tiandu City in an instant either had a strange spirit or his strength must be far beyond that of an ordinary titled Douluo. But seeing Ao Xing's appearance, he naturally thought it was the former, and he himself, besides cultivation, has only one hobby, that is the medicine-making technique passed down by the Paji clan. His interest in researching and refining various medicines and poisons was even greater than his interest in practicing. On weekdays, he would stay up for days and nights to refine medicine. The effect of the Yuxiang Douluo fairy product that makes it immune to all poisons is even more tempting to him than things like soul bones that can directly enhance his own strength. Therefore, even though he realized that the man in front of him might be hiding something, he would rather believe that the other party's martial spirit was strange, and did not think that the other party's strength would surpass that of a titled Douluo. I don't want to waste my time talking to you. Zioxiu, you should be able to deal with a soul Douluo in his early 80s, right? No problem. Jian Rongxiu nodded expressionlessly, as if she didn't take Yang Wudi seriously. Seeing this scene, Yang Wudi became quite angry. It would be fine if she was looked down upon by a man, but a little girl actually showed such disdain towards him. Without saying a word, he directly took out his martial arts soul-breaking spear. But the next second, he was completely stunned. Because the woman in front of him had 7 soul rings appearing behind her, and the last soul ring was blood red. Like Tang San, she possesses 100,000-year spirit ring. Yang is invincible. Give you another chance. If you don't hand over the Yuxiang Douluo immortal product, then after Zioxiu beats you up, I will continue to beat you up. Moreover, I will expel your Poyi clan from the Douluo continent. Although Yang Wudi has a stubborn temper, he is not stupid. He immediately realized that the man next to this soul saint woman with a 100,000-year soul ring is most likely a titled Douluo level warrior. Let me think about it. It's late, Zioxiu, you should practice first. Don't kill him. Chapter 60, knocked down with one blow, thunderstorm in the sky. Yang Wudi closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, his domineering aura reached its peak. He entered a state of extreme concentration, and his entire body seemed to have merged into one with the soul-breaking spear. The 8 soul rings behind him were even more dazzling. In response, Jian Rongxiu's expression was filled with disdain. My soul-breaking spear will show no mercy. Although Yang Wudi was terrified by Ao Xing's strength, after entering the combat state, the only thing on his mind was to defeat his opponent. When he saw the woman in front of him radiating golden holy light, he knew that the other party was ready. Then, in an instant, he shot at Jian Rongxiu. However, just as the sharp tip of the soul-breaking spear was about to hit Jian Rongxiu with a whistling sound, she turned into a stream of light and leaped into the air. Heavenly, angel, true, body. Jian Rongxiu chanted neither slowly nor slowly. Dark clouds covered the moon and the night was dark. But suddenly a ray of light appeared in the sky, behind Jian Rongxiu, a pair of pure white wings slowly spread out, and every feather seemed to embody the holiness and power of an angel. In an instant, her temperament changed drastically, emitting majesty and holiness that made mortals bow down to her. When her martial spirit was fully released, the air around her seemed to freeze. The angel realm is open, coupled with the enhancement of her martial soul's true body, Jian Rongxiu's strength instantly reached the level of titled Douluo. When Yang Wudi saw this scene, he stood there in a daze after firing a shot, and did not even retract his soul-breaking spear. Angel's Roar. Jian Rongxiu used her sixth soul skill, and her soul power strangely transformed into a mental attack, directly hitting Yang Wudi. The latter was mentally shaken and looked dazed. He gritted his teeth and shouted. Unfair. She's flying so high, how can I reach her with my gun? Seeing Yang Wudi's somewhat broken defense, Ao Xing just found it funny. If you are not good enough, don't blame the uneven road. If you were a little stronger, the power of the soul-breaking spear would be able to affect the height she is at. If you can't reach it, it just means you're bad. Strength is the rule. Zioxiu, be gentle. Before Ao Xing could finish his words, a holy sword made of sacred fire suddenly appeared in Jian Rongxiu's hand and chopped directly towards Yang Wudi. In response, Yang Wudi raised his gun to block, but was still knocked back dozens of meters, and in his body, there is a sacred fire burning fiercely. It doesn't seem to be working. My sacred fire burns his soul power. Jian Rongxiu showed disdain, and Ao Xing couldn't help but shook his head after observing for a while. Yang Wudi, tell me where the Yuxiang Qiluo immortal product is. I can spare your life. And I will tell you the whereabouts of your disappointing brother. My brother. There was a flash of shock in Yang Wudi's eyes. Correct. Yang Washuan. Ao Xing looked at Yang Wudi with a smile, while the latter had a look of horror. This was because his brother's whereabouts were unknown during the Spirit Hall's previous liquidation of the Haoshan sect. Nearly 20 years have passed, and only a handful of people know the names of Yang Wudi and his brother. It is absolutely impossible to say that I am not shocked. Speed, my patience is limited. Do you want to know the whereabouts of your brother, or do you want the Yuxiang Qiluo immortal product? I want. 3, 2, 1. My brother's whereabouts. Yang Wudi yelled in pain. He hadn't gotten over the reality of being defeated by a little girl, and he was questioned by the other party, so his whole spirit was a little broken. Very good. Ao Xing smiled evilly, then stopped time and sent Yang Wudi back to the residence of the Li clan. Tomorrow, I will come to get the Yuxiang Qiluo fairy product. By the way, meet Bai He. In the blink of an eye, Ao Xing and Jian Rongxiu arrived outside Tiandu city again. Since his obedience to Jian Rongxiu has reached 100%, Jian Rongxiu can be regarded as his. Therefore, Ao Xing can decide whether Jian Rongxiu will be affected by the time stop field. Just when he was thinking of taking Jian Rongxiu to find a place to live, a heavy rain started to fall, and at the same time, lightning flashed across the dark night sky. Time stop, start. Just as a thick bolt of lightning fell not far from Ao Xing, he once again froze the space around him. Then he picked up Jian Rongxiu, and with the thunder roaring outside, he and her started cosplaying as the King of Thunder from King of Glory above the dark clouds thousands of meters high. Si Kong Zhen, I am not feeling well, and originally wanted to take a day off to rest today, but after thinking about it, I decided to update one chapter so that I can move on to the new plot that will include Shui Di, Bridget and others.